The first thing I noticed was that our dining table was gone. The second was that Eric hadn't swept beneath it. A pale rectangle floated on the hardwood, bordered by dust and one dried pea that had apparently survived the evacuation. My father had built that table from white oak when Eric and I got married. It weighed enough to require 4 adults, profanity, and a good insurance policy. It had not wandered off by itself. I stood in the doorway with one hand on my cane and the other gripping the handle of my suitcase. Behind me, the cab driver said, "Ma'am, you sure this is the right house?" The question would have been funny if half my living room hadn't been missing, too. The green chair was gone. Both bookcases. The rug. 3 framed photographs had vanished from the wall, leaving clean shapes in the faded paint. Eric's recliner remained aimed at the television. His whiskey cabinet was untouched. Somebody had emptied my home with the precision of a surgeon removing only one twin. Less than 24 hours earlier, Eric had told me, "You're too damaged to run our home now." I had thought he was angry. I hadn't understood that he was giving me an inventory report. The driver, a broad-shouldered woman named Rochelle, had spent the ride from Richmond telling me about her mother's dachshund and asking whether the VA always served eggs that bounced. Now she looked past me into the house. "You want me to bring that bag inside?" "No, thank you." My voice came out crisp enough to salute. She glanced at my leg brace. "You want me to wait?" I almost said no. No is muscle memory. No, I can carry it. No, I don't need the closer parking space. No, there's no reason to wake anybody. No, the pain isn't that bad. The muscles in my left thigh had started trembling. 5 minutes, I said. Rochelle nodded as if I had given a perfectly ordinary answer. Meters off. I pulled my suitcase over the threshold. One wheel caught in the narrow groove beneath the door, and the small jolt sent a bright wire of pain from my lower back to my ankle. I stopped breathing until it passed. The house smelled wrong, not dirty. Lemon cleaner, coffee, and something floral that I couldn't place. Eric hated scented products. He said they made the inside of his nose itch. Eric? No answer. It was Thursday, almost noon. He thought I was coming home Friday at 2. I had changed the discharge ride after our argument because I wanted one quiet night in my own bed before the welcome home performance he kept describing. Pizza, balloons, his brother Mason pretending not to cry. Eric had called it a fresh start. Apparently, he had meant that literally. I moved farther into the living room. My cane made a small rubber click each time it touched the floor. The sound had followed me through 11 weeks of rehabilitation, and I despised it with an intimacy I usually reserved for people who chewed ice. On the mantel, our wedding photograph remained. Eric and I were laughing at something outside the frame. I remembered the photographer telling him to put his hand lower on my waist. Eric had whispered, "Any lower, your mother will shoot me." My mother had heard him. She'd said, "Only if Danny misses." The memory landed in the room and had nowhere to sit. I reached for my phone, then stopped. Calling Eric before I knew what I was looking at felt like reporting an incident before checking for casualties. Old habit. Assess first. The kitchen was worse. Half the cabinet doors opened on empty shelves. The blue Dutch oven was gone. So was the cast iron skillet I had seasoned for 15 years, the mixing bowls, the good knives, and the ridiculous rooster-shaped pitcher June gave me after she decided my kitchen was aggressively beige. Eric's air fryer occupied the center of the counter like a victorious little tank. I opened the pantry. His cereal, his protein bars, cans of chili, 2 jars of peanut butter, neither the crunchy kind. The shelves I had labeled grains, canned goods, baking, and Eric's science experiments were still there, but someone had peeled off the last label and left a sticky gray shadow. A laugh escaped me. One sharp sound. For years, Eric had complained about those labels while putting absolutely nothing back where it belonged. Once he had stood in the kitchen holding a jar of paprika and asked, "Where do spices go?" Check the drawer marked spices. You've taken all the adventure out of marriage. I had missed that man so much during the first weeks at the hospital that I sometimes woke reaching across the bed for him. My right hand began to shake. That was the hand that had always been steady. The tremor was mild, but it made my phone tap against the countertop when I set it down. I curled my fingers into my palm and waited. At the rehabilitation center, they called that pacing. Before the injury, I would have called it standing around while my body wasted government time. The injury itself wasn't dramatic enough to match what it had done to me. No firefight. No overturned convoy. I had been supervising a vehicle recovery exercise at Fort Barrow when a tow cable snapped, startled a young driver, and sent a truck lurching sideways. I moved a specialist out of its path and twisted as I fell. The fall aggravated damage that had been building in my spine for years. I remembered the gravel against my cheek, the smell of hot rubber. The specialist kneeling beside me saying, "Staff Sergeant, I'm sorry," over and over. I remembered trying to stand because everyone was watching. My left leg folded as if it belonged to somebody else. Surgery relieved the pressure on my spine, but it didn't restore the agreement I used to have with my body. My leg weakened without warning. My fingers trembled when I was tired. Sudden noises could turn the room white at the edges. At the VA, I had learned to climb stairs, shower safely, and admit that pain made me mean. Eric had visited every Sunday for the first month. He brought grocery store flowers and took pictures of us that made me look healthier than I felt. He told the nurses, "She's the toughest person I know." Then he would stand too close while I practiced walking and grab my elbow before I lost balance. "Let her correct herself," my physical therapist Marisol told him. "I'm helping. You're changing her center of gravity. She could fall. So could you. I'm not holding your arm." Eric disliked Marisol immediately. I adored her. By the 6th week, his visits shortened. He had work. Traffic was bad. Mason needed help replacing a water heater. June was having another crisis, though with June, crisis covered everything from a flat tire to a haircut she regretted. When Eric did come, he talked about how much he was handling. "You wouldn't believe how much mail we get," he told me once. "We've received mail for years. I mean, when you're the one dealing with it." That should have told me something. Instead, I apologized. A floorboard creaked above me. I looked toward the ceiling. Eric? Nothing. I left the kitchen and started down the hallway. The family photographs that usually ran along one wall were gone. Not all of them. A picture of Eric and Owen fishing remained. So did one of Eric's parents at their 40th anniversary dinner. The photographs missing were mine. Me in uniform beside a line of mud-covered trucks. Me and my parents at my promotion ceremony. June and me on a beach in North Carolina, both sunburned, her mouth open in a laugh. The 4 of us at Owen's college graduation had disappeared too, unless Eric considered that one mine because I was standing closest to the camera. I touched one of the empty hooks. It swung against the wall. The upstairs floor creaked again. This time I heard water running. I considered calling out. Instead, I went toward the stairs. There were 13 steps. I knew because Marisol had made me count the steps in my house during discharge planning, along with measuring doorways and photographing the bathtub. Only I hadn't photographed anything. I had asked Eric. "Send me a picture of the upstairs bathroom," I told him. "You know what it looks like. I need to show occupational therapy. I already told you I'll handle whatever they want changed. It's not about handling it. We need measurements. I'm at work, Danny." Every photograph he eventually sent was a close-up. The faucet, the toilet, a section of tile beside the tub. No wide angles, nothing that showed what had changed. At the bottom of the stairs, I looked up. My bedroom door was closed. The handrail was on my stronger side going up, which was useful proof that luck occasionally worked part-time. I hooked my cane over my wrist, gripped the rail, and lifted my left foot onto the first step. Up with the good, down with the bad. A cheerful phrase for the discovery that stairs now had moral categories. By step 4, my hip burned. At step 7, the shower shut off. At step 9, something thumped behind the bedroom door. I reached the landing, breathing hard. The hall linen closet stood open. Our towels were gone except for 3 white ones I had never seen before. A basket on the floor held women's clothing, not mine. A bright pink bra lay on top with the confidence of a flag planted in conquered territory. I stared at it. There are moments when your mind offers the most painful explanation first, because pain likes to feel efficient. Another woman. Eric had moved another woman into our room while I was learning how to put on my socks without falling out of a chair. Then I noticed a purple blouse hanging from the basket. I knew that blouse. I had told June it made her look like a casino curtain. She had worn it anyway. The bedroom door opened. June stepped into the hallway with wet hair, bare feet, and my dark blue bathrobe wrapped around her body. For a second, neither of us spoke. My sister had the kind of face that broadcast every thought before she could organize it. Surprise widened her eyes. Guilt pulled down her mouth. Then something harder moved in, something almost like annoyance. Danny? I looked at the robe. I had bought it at the exchange in Germany and worn it until one cuff started unraveling. June followed my gaze and tightened the belt. "What are you doing here?" she asked. It was my house, my staircase, my robe, and somehow I was the person who had arrived without permission. I was discharged. Today? Yes. But Eric said Friday. He was mistaken. She pushed wet hair behind one ear. "You should have called." I did. Many times. "You stopped answering about 3 weeks ago. My phone's been acting weird. Does it only malfunction when my name appears?" On another day, June might have smiled. Humor had always been the rope we threw across whatever gap existed between us. She would call me Sergeant Spreadsheet. I would tell her adulthood was not a series of free trials. She didn't smile now. From inside the bedroom came the floral scent I had noticed downstairs. I stepped forward. June shifted sideways, blocking the doorway. That hurt more than I expected. "Move," I said. "Danny, wait, I'm tired. I want to see my room." "It's not, move." She looked down at my brace. For one ugly second, I saw calculation in her face. Not cruelty exactly. An assessment of how difficult it would be for me to get past her. Then she stepped aside. The bed remained, but only Eric's nightstand was beside it. My dresser was gone. My cedar chest was gone. 2 unfamiliar suitcases stood open on the floor, filled with June's clothes. Cosmetics covered my side of the bathroom counter. The silver tray where I kept my perfume and earrings now held June's collection of drugstore lotions. My closet door was open. Most of my clothes had disappeared. I walked into the room, feeling June behind me. "Where are my things?" She didn't answer. I opened the closet wider. Eric's shirts hung in neat rows. On my side were 6 empty hangers, my dress uniform, and the gray suit I wore to funerals. The choice of what remained was so specific that my skin went cold. "Where are my things, June?" Eric was going to explain. "What are you doing in our bedroom? My apartment had mold. Your apartment always has something. That's not fair. No, it's consistent." Her face tightened. "I came to help him." "With what?" "With everything. The house, the bills. Getting ready for you." I turned slowly. Getting ready for me required removing my dresser. "You don't know the whole situation. I know enough to ask where my underwear went." June folded her arms, forgetting she was wearing my robe. "This is exactly why Eric didn't want you coming back without a transition plan." I could hear Marisol's voice telling me to unlock my knees. I did. What transition plan? June's eyes flicked toward the nightstand. Eric's phone charger was plugged in, but his phone wasn't there. Beside it sat a yellow notepad covered in his blocky handwriting. I could make out 3 words from where I stood. Danny, move-in list. Below that was an address I didn't recognize. June reached for the pad. I got there first. The address belonged to Riverbend Commons, an apartment complex 12 minutes from our house. Under it, Eric had written Unit 114 in a box, then circled it twice. The rest of the page was divided into categories. Bathroom, shower chair, adhesive rail, non-slip mat. Kitchen, microwave meals, lightweight dishes, electric kettle. Bedroom, Low frame, waterproof mattress cover. I read that line again. Why would I need a waterproof mattress cover? June's face went red. I didn't write it. I recognize Eric's handwriting. He was trying to think of everything. Did my surgeon tell him I'd started wetting the bed? No. Did I? Of course not. Then what was he thinking of? She pressed her lips together. There were more items below. Pill organizer, emergency call button, weekly housekeeping, grocery delivery. Beside transportation, he had written VA shuttle and Owen when available. Not Eric. I turned the page. A printed floor plan had been stapled behind the list. 640 square feet, 1 bedroom, 1st floor, an accessible shower, and a narrow patio facing the parking lot. Someone had drawn a tiny square where my dining table would never fit. Is this rented? It's temporary. That wasn't my question. Eric put down a deposit. How long? I don't know. You're living in my bedroom, but the lease term was considered private? I'm not living in your bedroom. I looked at her wet hair, bare feet, and open suitcases. She tugged my robe tighter. I'm staying here while my place gets treated. What kind of mold? Black. What species? I don't know, Danny, the bad kind. You had it tested. Why are you interrogating me? Because you lie when you feel cornered, and you feel cornered whenever someone asks a second question. Her eyes flashed. You've been home 10 minutes and you're already doing this. This? Acting like everybody reports to you. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Rochelle had sent a message. Still here, not rushing you. Just don't want to leave if something's wrong. I looked past June toward the stairs. My body had spent most of its available energy getting me up them. Going down would cost more. Getting back into Rochelle's cab, finding a hotel, explaining why I needed a room I could safely use, those were tasks, each one manageable. Together they formed a wall. I need to make a call, I said. June stepped toward me. You should sit down. Not on my side of the bed, apparently. Oh, come on, take off my robe. Her mouth opened. Not here, I said. Go into the bathroom, put on your clothes, and take off my robe. She stared at me as though I had asked her to remove her skin. It's a robe. It's mine. I grabbed it because I forgot my towel. The linen closet has towels. Those are new. Then I assume they work. June gave a small, disbelieving laugh. You need to calm down. That sentence has never calmed anyone in the history of language. For half a second, her old expression appeared. The one that came before she laughed even when she was determined not to. Then it vanished. She went into the bathroom and shut the door. I called Rochelle instead of Eric. I'm sorry, I said. You can go. You sure? Yes. You got somebody there with you? My sister. There was a pause long enough to tell me Rochelle understood that sister did not automatically mean safe. You have my number, she said. If you need another ride, you call dispatch, but you can text me too. I work until 8. Thank you. You don't have to sound formal about it. I'm not sounding formal. You sound like you're presenting me with a medal. That nearly made me smile. Drive safely, Rochelle. Yes, Staff Sergeant. I never told you my rank. No, but you have a vibe. The line went dead. I stood there listening to the bathroom drawers open and close. My suitcase was downstairs. My medication was in the side pocket, including the dose I needed with lunch. The thought of navigating the stairs again made sweat gather under my brace. I called Eric. He answered on the second ring. Hey, babe, a man's voice murmured in the background. Eric said, Hold on, and a door clicked shut. What's up? I'm home. Silence. Not surprise. Calculation. Then, what? I was discharged this morning. You said Friday. The discharge coordinator had an opening today. You didn't tell me. You didn't answer last night. I was asleep. At 8:40? I had a headache. June was asleep too? Another silence. Is she there? He asked. She's changing out of my bathrobe. Danny, listen to me. I need you to wait before you start assuming things. I'm not assuming the table is gone. I was going to explain all of that. Where is it? Why does that matter right this second? Where is my table? Mason has it. I sat on the edge of the bed before my leg decided for me. The mattress sank differently, softer on my side, firmer where Eric slept, familiar enough to make everything else feel staged. Why does Mason have it? He's holding it. Why? We needed space. For June's suitcases? Don't do that. I'm asking questions. You're firing them at me. Then answer one and reduce the supply. He exhaled into the phone. I knew that breath. It was the one he used when he wanted credit for patience. I'm leaving work, he said. Just stay there. It's my house. I know that. Do you? I'm not having this conversation over the phone. You started it over the phone yesterday. I was upset. You said I was too damaged to run our home. I said you were too hurt to be responsible for everything right now. That is not the same thing. It's close enough to share a toothbrush. You're twisting my words. No, I wrote them down. That stopped him. At rehabilitation, I had started keeping a notebook because medication, poor sleep and pain, made conversations slippery. Not forgotten exactly, but blurred at the edges. Eric knew about it. He had praised the habit when I used it to remember appointments. He liked records when he controlled what they proved. I'll be there in 20 minutes, he said. The bathroom door opened. June emerged wearing jeans and a sweatshirt. She carried my robe folded over one arm. 20 minutes, I repeated, and ended the call. June placed the robe on the bed beside me. You could have just asked nicely. I did ask. No, you ordered. I said take off my robe. There was no rank attached. That tone is a rank. She picked up the yellow pad from where I had dropped it, but I put my hand over the floor plan. I'm keeping this. It belongs to Eric. My name is written across the top. That doesn't make it yours. Interesting position for you to take in my bedroom. She released the pad. I stood carefully. Help me downstairs. The surprise on her face irritated me more than refusal would have. You want my help? I need your arm on the weak side. Don't pull me. If my knee buckles, brace, then lower. You don't have to talk to me like I'm stupid. I'm telling you how not to injure me. I know how to help somebody downstairs. Show me. June moved to my left. Her shoulder fit under my hand the way it had when we were younger, and she was forever borrowing shoes she claimed didn't fit me properly anyway. Halfway down, my left knee softened. June felt it before I spoke. She planted her feet and held steady, not yanking, not panicking, not calling my name in that frightened voice everyone had started using. I recovered my balance. Good, I said. Don't sound so surprised. I'm not. You are a little. At the bottom, she stayed beside me until both feet were level. Then she stepped away quickly as if competence might be contagious. My suitcase stood where I had left it near the front door. Through the narrow glass panel, I watched Rochelle's cab pull from the curb. The taillights disappeared at the corner. I took my noon medication with a protein bar from Eric's pantry. June watched me from the other side of the kitchen island. Do you want me to make you something? No. You should eat real food with those. The good cookware appears to be on leave. There are pans. Where? She opened the cabinet beneath the stove. Inside were two thin aluminum pots with blackened bottoms. Those came from your apartment, I said. So? So this isn't you staying here temporarily. You moved your kitchen. I brought a few things. You brought your laundry basket, your lotions, your pans, and the casino curtain blouse. She glanced down the hallway as though the blouse might defend itself. I was helping Eric get the house under control, she said. It was under control when I left. No, it was under you. The words came out fast. She seemed startled by them. I put the protein bar wrapper on the counter. Explain. June rubbed her thumb over a chip in the island. You had a system for everything. Towels folded your way. Food organized your way. We couldn't move a chair without you telling us what wall it belonged against. You and Eric moved more than a chair. You know what I mean? I really don't. Even when you weren't here, it felt like you were checking. I asked for pictures because the therapist needed measurements. You asked me why the pantry count was different. I asked Eric whether he needed groceries. He thought you were auditing him. That says more about Eric than it does about me. June shook her head. See? That. You always have the answer that makes you the reasonable one. I leaned against the counter. My back had begun to pulse. What answer would you prefer? I don't know. Maybe admit you're hard to live with. Were you living with me? She looked away. The front lock turned. Eric came in wearing khaki pants, a blue button-down shirt, and the expression he used at funerals when he was deciding who required a hug. His sandy hair was flattened on one side from the headset he wore at work. He looked tired. He also looked familiar enough that some disloyal part of me wanted him to cross the room and make everything understandable. His eyes moved over my brace, my cane, the uneaten half of the protein bar. Then he looked at June. You said tomorrow, he told me. So I've heard. He came toward me with both arms open. I lifted the cane between us. Don't. Eric stopped. Pain crossed his face. Real pain, which was inconvenient. I've spent 11 weeks waiting to bring you home, he said. I glanced around the stripped kitchen. Where? I asked. He lowered his arms. Can we sit down? My chairs are gone. Mason has the chairs too. That was almost an answer. June made a frustrated sound. I'm going upstairs. No, Eric said. Stay. We need to do this together. There it was again. Eric pulled one of the 2 remaining stools from the island and set it behind me. He knew exactly how far I could lower myself without losing control. He angled it so my stronger leg took the weight. Please, he said. I sat because my body wanted the stool, not because he offered it. He crouched in front of me. That put his face below mine, a posture so carefully gentle I almost admired it. The apartment is temporary, he said. First floor, accessible bathroom, emergency staff on site at night. It's close enough that I can be there in 10 minutes. You researched it. For weeks. You measured their bathroom. His eyes flickered. Yes, but not ours. Our house has stairs. Our house also has a downstairs den. No full bath. We discussed converting one. And how long would that take? How much would it cost? What happens if you fall before it's done? You ask me. I was trying to protect you. By moving my sister into our bedroom, that wasn't part of the original plan. June stiffened. Eric noticed too late. Original plan, I said. How many versions have there been? He stood and paced 2 steps before remembering there was nowhere comfortable to pace toward. You said Rehab taught you to accept help. Yes. This is help? No. Help is offered. He pressed his fingers to his forehead. I knew you'd react like this. You mean before you did it? You make every decision a battle. I wasn't present for this one. Because you weren't here. The room went still. Eric heard himself. I watched him consider taking the sentence back. Instead, he pulled a folded brochure from his pocket and placed it on the island. Riverbend Commons. Independence with support. I'm not leaving you, he said quietly. I'm trying to keep us together without pretending you can come back and run this place the way you did before. I looked at the smiling, gray-haired woman on the brochure, holding a watering can on a sunlit patio. Us together, I said. With me at Riverbend and you here. It would just be until we know what you're capable of. Behind him, June stared at the floor. Eric reached for my hand. I moved it into my lap. And who decides that? I asked. Neither of them answered. Eric's hand remained open between us for another second before he let it fall. We decide together, he said. You already decided. I made arrangements. Arrangements can change. Then cancel them. His jaw tightened. You've been here less than an hour. I knew I didn't want to live at Riverbend before I got here. You haven't even seen it. I have seen 640 square feet of it. A floor plan isn't the same as seeing it. Then why was a floor plan enough for you? June leaned her back against the refrigerator and closed her eyes. Eric looked from her to me. Can we please lower the temperature? I'm sitting still eating a protein bar. You know what I mean. I know what you always mean. You want me to sound less upset so you can feel less responsible for upsetting me. That's not fair. Neither is measuring a stranger's shower while refusing to measure ours. I did measure ours. I went quiet. Eric rubbed the back of his neck, eventually. What were the measurements? I don't have them memorized. Door width? Danny. Distance from the toilet to the wall? I wrote it down somewhere. Tub height? Stop testing me. I'm not testing you. These are the questions Marisol gave us. She gave you. She emailed them to both of us. I work all day. So did I before a truck put me on the ground. I still answered my email. The sentence landed harder than I intended. Eric's face changed. He had driven 4 hours round trip every Sunday for a month. He had held a plastic basin while anesthesia made me vomit and pretended not to notice when I cried afterward. The first time a nurse helped me shower, I called him from the hospital bathroom because humiliation had hollowed me out. He stayed on the phone and described Owen trying to assemble a grill without instructions until I laughed. Those things were true. So was the apartment. I looked down at my hands. Where's the rest of my clothing? In storage, Eric said. What storage? I rented a unit off Route 9. How much is in it? Most of what we cleared. Most isn't a category. He made a helpless gesture toward the kitchen. This is why I couldn't get anything done with you involved. Every answer becomes 5 more questions. That's how inventory works. We're not in the Army. No, in the Army you couldn't remove half a room and call it most. June snorted before she could stop herself. Eric turned on her. Whose side are you on? Her eyebrows went up. I thought we were helping her. We are. Then maybe don't ask me to pick a side in front of her. The first small crack appeared between them. I filed it away, then disliked myself for filing it away. I had been home an hour and was already reading the room like a briefing where 2 officers disagreed, but wanted the enlisted people to pretend they didn't. I want a list, I said. Eric stared at me. Everything removed. Where it is, who has it, whether it was sold, donated, or stored. That'll take time. It took time to move it. We can work on that tomorrow. No. You can start now. His shoulders rose. June said, I know where some things went. He looked at her again. What? She asked. She's going to find out. The words pushed cold through me. Find out what? June crossed her arms. Not everything went to storage. I know. Mason has the table. And the chairs, Eric said quickly. Like I told you. You told me after I asked 3 times. The bookcases were donated, June said. My attention moved to her. With the books? No. The books are boxed. Where? Some in the garage. Some at Mom's. Why does Mom have my books? She wanted a few. Which few? I don't know. Books, Danny. She reads. My first edition, Le Guin, was on that shelf. June blinked. The blue one with the torn jacket, I said. I didn't inspect the price of every book. It wasn't expensive. Then why bring up that it was a first edition? Because my father gave it to me. Well, I didn't know that. That sentence is doing a lot of work in this house. Eric stepped between us without physically standing between us, the way he had learned to do during years of Mercer family arguments. The books are safe, he said. You don't know that. I'm sure they are. Safe where? We'll check. When? Tomorrow. June pushed away from the refrigerator. I'm making coffee. It's almost 2, Eric said. Yes, and this has been the longest morning of my life. She filled the kettle. It was my stainless steel kettle, not the electric one on Eric's apartment list. Its familiar rattle against the sink made the whole scene feel domestic in a way that bordered on obscene. I looked at Eric. The green chair? He glanced toward the empty place by the window. Someone bought it. Who? I don't know. You sold it to a person whose name you don't know? Online. They came and picked it up. How much? $75. I almost laughed again. That chair cost $800. 15 years ago. It was solid wood. It was worn out. It fit my back. You can't get up from something that low now. There it was. Not greed. Not even simple carelessness. A verdict. He had looked at the chair where I drank coffee, graded papers, and waited for him to come home, and decided my body had canceled my claim to it. Did you ask my therapist whether I could use it with a riser? No. Did you ask me whether I wanted to? You were having a hard enough time. At what? At rehab. At walking. At sleeping. Every call, you sounded exhausted. I was exhausted. So I took things off your plate. You took the plate. June set 3 mugs on the counter. One was my red ceramic mug with the chipped handle. She started to pour coffee into it, then hesitated and slid it toward me empty. You're not supposed to have caffeine with one of your medications, right? Eric asked. It was a small thing, but he remembered. No caffeine within 2 hours. I got decaf. I don't want coffee. Tea? No. Have you eaten anything besides that bar? I ate breakfast. At what time? 6:30. He opened the refrigerator. I can make eggs. I wanted to refuse because he had removed the skillet, because June's pans looked capable of poisoning a canary, because accepting eggs felt like accepting the entire arrangement. Then my stomach cramped. 2, I said. No cheese. I know. He moved around the kitchen with awkward familiarity. Eric could cook 4 things well and 12 things badly. Eggs belonged to the first category. He took out butter, then paused in front of the cabinet where the seasonings used to be. Where's the pepper? He asked. June pointed. Drawer by the sink. He opened the wrong drawer. Under any other circumstances, I would have said spices go in the drawer marked spices. The label was gone, but the line rose in my throat anyway. I swallowed it. June saw. She handed him the pepper without comment. The cheap pan rocked on the burner because the bottom was warped. Eric held the handle to keep it level while the eggs cooked. He looked ridiculous and determined. Once, on our 3rd date, he'd made me scrambled eggs at midnight after a delayed flight. He had put cinnamon in them by accident because he refused to turn on the bright kitchen light. I ate half before telling him. He had said, "That is love." I had answered, "That is evidence." The memory did not excuse him. It did make anger harder to hold in one clean shape. When he placed the eggs in front of me, he had added toast cut diagonally. I liked it that way and had never admitted there was any difference. "Thank you," I said. His face softened too quickly. I ate while Eric took a legal pad from the junk drawer and began the inventory. June sat across from me and supplied locations when he stalled. Dining table and 6 chairs, Mason's garage, cedar chest, storage, dresser, storage, uniform footlocker, my mother's house, cookware, divided between storage and June. Why June? I asked. She cooks, Eric said. So do I. You weren't here. June stared into her coffee. My workbench had been sold to Cal Norton, the neighbor 2 houses down. Most of the tools were in storage, although June thought some went with the bench. Eric was sure they had not. Neither could explain why the framed photographs had been split between 3 different places. Who helped you move everything? I asked. Mason, Eric said. And? He wrote more slowly. Owen helped one weekend. My fork stopped. Owen thought I agreed to this? Eric kept his eyes on the paper. He knew we were making changes. What did you tell him? That we needed to prepare for you coming home. Did you tell him I was going to Riverbend? We hadn't finalized Riverbend yet. Did you tell him I asked you to remove my things? I don't remember the exact conversation. You remember conversations when you think I'm twisting your words, June whispered. He told Owen you wanted a fresh start. Eric dropped the pen. I said we wanted one. No, June said. You said Danny gets overwhelmed when there's too much stuff around now. I was talking about safety. You said she'd agreed. I said she understood. I pushed the plate away. The eggs had become a soft yellow mass I could no longer swallow. Eric's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and rejected the call. Was that Owen? No. Call him. Not now. Put him on speaker. I am not dragging my son into a fight between us. You used your son to carry my dresser. He was helping. I want to know what he thought he was helping with. You're tired. I gripped the edge of the island. Stop telling me what I am. His face hardened. "Your hand is shaking." I looked down. The tremor had returned, stronger now. My thumb jerked against the side of my index finger. Pain pulsed behind my left hip, and the room felt too warm. June stood. "She needs to lie down. I am sitting right here. I didn't say you weren't. You said she as if I'd left." June's eyes filled, which made me furious. My sister cried beautifully. Her eyes turned glassy, her cheeks flushed, and people rushed to forgive her before the first tear fell. "I don't know how to do this with you," she said. "You could start by not doing it without me." Eric came around the island. This time he did not try to touch me. He placed my cane within reach and waited. "The guest room is made up," he said. "I'm sleeping in my bed." June looked at him. He looked at her. That exchange decided it. "No," I said. "Actually, I'll take the guest room. Danny, I don't want to sleep beside someone who has been planning where else I should live." He flinched. June gathered her mug. "I can sleep on the couch." "The couch is gone," I said. She looked toward the living room as if she had forgotten. Eric carried my suitcase upstairs after I agreed to let him. June walked behind us but did not touch me unless I asked. The guest room held a bed, one lamp, and nothing else. The small dresser had been removed. My suitcase sat on the floor because there was nowhere to unpack it. Eric found an old folding chair in the hall closet and set it beside the bed. "I'll bring your medication up," he said. "It stays with me." "Right." He lingered in the doorway. I really did think I was helping. I lowered myself onto the mattress. That's the part I can't stop thinking about. He closed the door softly. The house settled around me as evening came. Pipes knocked. Cabinet doors opened downstairs. June laughed once, then cut herself off. Eric brought me soup on a tray and left when I said I wasn't hungry. After midnight, their voices reached me through the wall. "She can't stay here like this," June whispered. "She's in shock. She's not confused, Eric." "I never said she was confused. You said she wouldn't understand everything at once." A pause. Then Eric said, "Once we get her settled at Riverbend, she'll see this makes sense." I opened my notebook in the dark and wrote his words down. The pen tore through the paper on the word sense. I stared at the small rip, then closed the notebook before I could write anything else. Record facts, not conclusions. That rule had saved me from plenty of bad decisions made at 2 a.m. It did not make me sleep. Around 3, the muscles in my left leg seized. The spasm pulled my heel toward the mattress and locked my calf so hard I bit the inside of my cheek. I tried the breathing pattern Marisol had taught me, but pain has no respect for training. My elbow knocked the lamp. The door opened almost immediately. Eric stood there in sweatpants, his hair sticking up. What happened? Cramp. He came to the bed, then stopped before touching me. "Calf?" "Yes." "Do you want heat?" "Yes." He disappeared and returned with the microwavable wrap we kept for his bad shoulder. He'd already wrapped it in a towel so it wouldn't burn my skin. "Where?" "Behind the knee first." He positioned it carefully. His hands were warm. I hated how familiar they felt. "Try to let your heel drop," he said. "I am. You're fighting it." "I know." "Okay, sorry." He sat on the folding chair while the spasm eased. Neither of us mentioned Riverbend. In the dim light, with pain reducing the world to inches, we became the version of ourselves that had survived hospital rooms. Direct, quiet, stripped of argument. After several minutes, my foot relaxed. "Better?" he asked. "Yes." He started to stand. "Eric." He looked at me with naked hope. "Thank you." The hope changed shape but did not disappear. "I can stay in here." "No. In case it happens again. I'll call if I need you." He glanced at the phone on the floor beside my suitcase. "You can't reach that from the bed." He picked it up and placed it next to the lamp. Then he set my cane within reach and checked that the water bottle cap was loose enough for my right hand. Those were loving actions. That was what made him dangerous to my judgment. He did not think he was cruel. Cruelty would have been easier. Eric loved me most when my needs arrived in forms he could solve without consulting me. A bottle cap, a heating pad, a ride. Give him a problem with edges, and he became tender. Give me an opinion about my own life, and suddenly I was difficult. He paused at the door. You don't have to decide anything tonight. I'm not. Good. He closed the door. I waited until his footsteps moved down the hall, then pulled the discharge folder from my suitcase. On my third week at rehabilitation, a social worker named Patrice had made me complete a backup housing plan. I had been annoyed. My husband is preparing the house, I told her. I'm glad. He knows I'm coming home. I'm glad about that too. Then why am I looking up hotels? Because people get the flu, pipes burst, ramps aren't finished, and sometimes husbands hear instructions differently than wives say them. Mine doesn't. Patrice had looked at me over the top of her glasses. Staff Sergeant Mercer, you have personally told me that your husband believes a tablespoon means any spoon he can fit in his mouth. That's cooking, not discharge planning. Write down 2 options. I had written them down mostly to end the conversation. One was a hotel near the college. The other was a furnished rental company that kept several accessible units for traveling nurses and patients receiving long-term treatment. I found its website on my phone. Only 1 ground floor unit was available. 1 bedroom, furnished, 6-week minimum. The monthly price made me sit up straighter. The savings account Eric and I had discussed using for a downstairs bathroom could cover it. So could my Army retirement income and what I had saved from teaching. But paying for 2 homes at once was not discipline. It was hemorrhage. I stared at the booking page until the screen dimmed. Then I pictured the River Bend floor plan with the little square somebody had drawn where my table wouldn't fit. I entered my card number. The confirmation email arrived at 4:17. At 6, I heard June go downstairs. At 6:15, the coffee grinder started. At 6:20, something hit the kitchen floor, followed by my sister saying a word our mother still believed neither of us knew. I dressed slowly. The only clean pants in my suitcase were black rehabilitation sweats. My left foot caught in the leg opening, and I had to stop twice before pulling them over the brace. By the time I finished, sweat had dampened the back of my shirt. I packed the heating wrap. It belonged to the house, but so did I. When I opened the bedroom door, June was coming up the stairs carrying coffee. She took in my clothes, the zipped suitcase, and the discharge folder tucked beneath my arm. "Where are you going?" "Downstairs." "With your suitcase?" "That is generally how leaving works." Her expression tightened. "You can't just walk out. I can't walk anywhere without considerable planning. This was planned. Since when?" 4:17. She lowered her voice. "Eric's going to think I told you to leave." "Did you?" "No." "Then tell him that. You know he won't believe me." That sounded less like accusation than experience. I hooked the cane over my wrist. "I need you to take the suitcase." She set her coffee on the floor and picked it up. No protest, no comment about my tone. We moved down 1 step at a time. June carried the suitcase in front of her, sideways, so it would not strike my brace. At the landing, she stopped. "I thought you knew about getting rid of some things," she said. I kept my hand on the rail. "All right. That's what Eric said. He told me you wanted less clutter because the rehab people said too much stuff could make you anxious. They said clear walking paths. He said you didn't want Mom worrying, so I shouldn't bring it up. And you believed him?" "At first." The answer was quiet. What changed? June stared at the suitcase handle. He got mad when I posted a picture from the living room. It was just my coffee in the window. He made me delete it. "When?" 2 weeks ago. "Did you ask why?" "He said you were emotional about the house." "I called you after that, I know. You didn't answer." "I know." The muscles in my back tightened. Why? Because by then we'd moved so much that if he was lying, I'd helped him lie. I didn't know how to call you and find out, so you waited for me to discover it. I told myself he was right about the apartment. "Did you?" I tried. Her honesty was not an apology, but it had more weight than one would have. I continued down. Eric was in the kitchen cracking eggs into a bowl. He saw the suitcase and set the bowl down. "What's this?" "I found a furnished rental." "You did what?" "It's ground floor. Accessible shower. 6 weeks. You went online in the middle of the night and rented an apartment?" "I used a backup plan from my discharge folder." "You had a backup plan? Everyone does." His eyes went to June. "Did you know about this?" "She just told me." "I asked if you knew, and I answered." He wiped his hands on a dish towel. "Put the suitcase down." "June did." I said, "Pick it up." She looked between us. "Danny, stop," Eric said. "June, please take it to the door." She picked it up. Eric stepped in front of her. "Nobody is going anywhere until we talk. I talked yesterday. You issued demands. I asked where my belongings went. You slept 4 hours. You're exhausted, you're in pain, and you just committed to 6 weeks somewhere you've never seen. It sounds reckless when someone else does it." His mouth tightened. "That's different." "Because you researched Riverbend?" "Yes." "For a person you didn't ask. I know you. You know what kind of toast I like. Apparently that made you overconfident." June moved around him and carried the suitcase to the front door. Eric followed me into the living room. Morning light filled the empty spaces. Without the rug, every footstep sounded sharper. "At least look at Riverbend before you do this," he said. "I've already done this. We'll lose the deposit." "You put down a deposit with our money before speaking to me. I was reserving an option. So am I. Your option costs more, because I'm paying for the right to choose it." He rubbed both hands over his face. "You're punishing me. I am relocating myself from a house where I was relocated without permission. You're still making it sound like I threw you out. Did you expect me to sleep here?" "Yes." "Where?" He glanced upstairs. "That was a practical issue," he said. "Your practical issues keep putting me somewhere else. I would have had June move to the guest room. She was in our bedroom yesterday because she was cleaning the attached bathroom. She was showering. She cleans after she showers." From behind us, June said, "That is not why I was in there." Eric turned. "Could you give us a minute? You told me we needed to do this together. I'm asking for 1 minute with my wife." June looked at me. I nodded. She went into the kitchen, picked up the bowl of eggs, and dumped them down the garbage disposal. Eric watched her do it. "That was unnecessary," he said. She turned on the disposal. The grinding noise filled the house. When it stopped, Eric's face had gone pale around the mouth. "I took care of you last night," he said to me. The sentence was soft. That made it worse. "You brought me a heating pad. Because you needed me?" "Yes." "And now you're leaving?" "Yes." "How does that make sense? I can need help and still leave." He shook his head. "You used to understand loyalty." I felt the words in my chest before I understood them. Eric knew it too. He tried to reach for me. "Danny, that came out wrong. No, it came out clean. I meant loyalty to us, to the marriage. I spent 12 years being loyal to this marriage. And I haven't? I don't know. I wasn't here when you divided it up." A car horn sounded outside. Rochelle was 10 minutes early. I had texted her before sunrise and asked for a ride. She had replied with a thumbs up and no questions. Eric looked through the window. "You called the same driver." She gave me her number. So a stranger knows what's happening before I do. A stranger waited outside yesterday because she could tell something was wrong. "I'm your husband." "Then you should have noticed first." He moved between me and the front door, not threatening, not quite. He stood there with his arms hanging at his sides, hurt and stubborn, and sure that one more conversation could return me to the shape he recognized. "If you walk out now," he said, "you're making this permanent. I'm walking out because my leg still works enough to do it. You know what I mean? I'm not deciding the marriage today, then stay. No. Why? Because if I stay, you'll count it as agreement." His eyes filled. For 1 second, I nearly folded. 12 years lived in the space between us. Bad eggs at midnight. Owen's graduation. My father's funeral. Eric sleeping upright beside my hospital bed because there was nowhere else. Then I saw the pale rectangle where my green chair had been. "Move," I said. He stepped aside. June carried my suitcase to the cab. Eric did not follow us outside. At the curb, she put the bag in the trunk and handed me my blue robe, folded into a square. "You left this upstairs." "Thank you." She looked toward the house. "I'm sorry about the chair. It was an odd place to begin, which made me believe her." "I want a complete list," I said. "I'll help make one. Not for Eric. For me." She nodded. Rochelle lowered the window. "We ready?" I got into the back seat. As we pulled away, I looked back once. Eric stood behind the living room glass, surrounded by the things he had chosen to keep. The rental smelled like new carpet and somebody else's cinnamon air freshener. Beige couch, beige walls. A square table designed for 2 people who did not own anything heavy. There was a rail in the shower and room beside the bed for my cane. Rochelle brought my suitcase in without asking whether I could manage it. She simply said, "Tell me where." After she left, I sat on the edge of the beige couch with my robe in my lap. My phone buzzed. A message from Owen appeared. "Dad says you came home early and left again. What happened?" I typed 3 different answers and erased all of them. Then another message arrived. "He told me you wanted me to help clear the house. Danny, did you not know?" I answered with 4 words. No, I did not know. My phone rang before the message showed as delivered. I watched Owen's name vibrate across the screen. He called again immediately after it stopped. Owen had inherited Eric's belief that 2 unanswered calls constituted an emergency and 3 constituted probable death. On the 3rd call, I answered. "Danny, I'm here. Where are you?" "In a rental." "What rental?" "One with furniture. I can come get you." "No. I mean, if Dad threw you out." "He didn't throw me out. He arranged for me to live somewhere else without asking. Cleared half the house, then stood in front of the door while I tried to leave. He blocked the door. He moved. That is not the important part of that sentence. It's all important." Owen breathed hard into the phone. I pictured him pacing. He had paced through his college admissions call, his first job offer, and every argument he ever had with Eric. Even as an adult, he could not think while sitting down. "I helped," he said. "I know. He told me you wanted it. I know that, too. You don't sound angry. I'm tired. That's worse. It isn't about you. I carried your dresser." The bluntness of it silenced me. Owen had been 23 when he and a friend moved that dresser upstairs after we refinished the bedroom. He complained the whole way. I told him he was welcome to put it back in the truck, and he said, "You have no idea how motivating spite can be." Now he said Dad told me the therapists wanted the rooms cleared. He said you were getting overwhelmed by clutter and wanted to start over with less stuff. What exactly did he ask you to move? The dresser? The cedar chest? Some boxes from the office. Uncle Mason and I took the table to his place. Did Eric say I was going to Riverbend? What's Riverbend? An apartment complex. Silence. He rented you an apartment? He put down a deposit. But you're coming home. I did come home. No, I mean after rehab. I'm out of rehab, Owen. Another silence. Longer this time. You're out now? Yes. Are you okay? That question has become too large to answer. Physically, I am sitting on a beige couch. That bad? There are decorative pillows with words on them. What do they say? Live, laugh, love. Jesus, I assume he was consulted. Owen made a strange sound that might have been a laugh. The couch had 3 pillows. I turned the love one face down. Dad said you had another month, Owen said. He knew my discharge date. I asked him last week if we were still doing the welcome dinner Friday. He said yes. What dinner? His breathing stopped for a beat. Dad told everyone you wanted dinner at the house. Grandma, Uncle Mason, Aunt June, me. He said you didn't want anybody at the rehab center because leaving there was emotional. I looked around the unfamiliar room. A fake fern occupied the corner. Somebody had dusted half its leaves. What happened after dinner? What do you mean? Where did he say I was sleeping? At home. Which room? I didn't ask. Did he tell you June had moved into ours? No. He planned to serve dinner in a house without a dining table. I thought the table was coming back before Friday. Did Mason think that? I don't know. I can call him. No. Why not? Because you're upset and you want to repair something before you understand it. Sounds familiar. The words came out before he could stop them. You're right, I said. I wasn't trying to. You are right. Owen stopped pacing, or at least I imagined he did. For most of our relationship, I had been the person he called when Eric made him feel careless. I would translate. Your dad isn't mad about the dent. He's afraid you'll get hurt. He doesn't hate the job. He's worried the benefits aren't good. That translation had kept peace. It had also trained both of them to wait for me to turn Eric's worst moments into something gentler. I wasn't doing that now. Tell me about the green chair, I said. It was already gone when I came. The bookcases, gone. My clothes? Dad had bags and boxes. I took some to the storage unit. Do you have the key? No, it has a keypad. Dad entered the code. Do you remember it? I wasn't looking. It was the first answer that sounded like Owen. Okay, I'll make him give it to you. No, I'll ask. He lied to me too. Yes. So I get to be mad. You do. But don't turn this into a contest over who he betrayed more. I wasn't. You were about to. He exhaled. Maybe. I shifted on the couch. The cushion was too soft. My brace pressed against the inside of my knee and I needed to adjust it. But doing that while holding the phone required 3 hands. Owen, I have to go. Wait. What do you need? I need to adjust my brace. I mean, what can I do? Not today. I could bring your stuff. You don't know where it is. I'll find out. I said not today. He went quiet. I'm sorry, he said. I know. I really thought you agreed. I believe you. That gave him too much relief. But you didn't ask me, I said. You helped move my life and never sent one message. His relief vanished. No, he said. I didn't. I'm not saying that to punish you. I know. I'm also not going to tell you it doesn't matter so you can stop feeling bad. I know. This time, he sounded older than his apology. Call me tomorrow, I said. I will. And don't confront Eric for me. What if I confront him for me? That's your decision. After we hung up, I sat still until the shaking in my hands subsided. Someone knocked. I reached for the cane and crossed the room. The peephole showed a woman with silver braids, a yellow cardigan, and a clipboard held against her chest like a shield. Ms. Mercer? She called. I'm Lorna, the property manager. I'm here to make sure the apartment hasn't eaten you. I opened the door. Lorna looked at my brace, then at my face, then deliberately back at my face. Good, she said. You exist. The booking came through at 4 a.m, which generally means divorce, disaster, or travel nursing. Maybe all 3. I don't recommend travel nursing during a divorce. People steal the good pens. She entered after I moved aside. Lorna showed me the thermostat, the breaker panel, and the shower controls. She apologized for the pillows. The owner's daughter decorated, she said. She believes words are furniture. Can I put them in a closet? You can burn them ceremonially if the smoke detector remains uninvolved. In the bathroom, she tested the rail with both hands. This one is anchored, she said. The decorative bar by the sink is not. It will betray you. I appreciate the distinction. I have fallen because of a towel rack. There are humiliations a woman remembers. She left me 2 keys, a list of nearby stores, and her number. Call if something breaks, she said. That includes the apartment. Personal breakage is outside my license, but I make decent tea. I'll keep that in mind. When the door closed, the silence returned. I unpacked 6 shirts, 3 pairs of pants, underwear, medication, the blue robe, my notebook, and the funeral suit Eric had left hanging in the closet. I had packed the suit because it was one of the few things available, not because I expected anyone to die. The dress uniform remained at the house. I had left it deliberately. Carrying it out while June watched would have felt like rescuing my past from a fire. I showered for the first time outside the rehabilitation center. The rail held. The folding seat did not wobble. Hot water ran over the long surgical scar on my back and the smaller scars around my knee. I washed my hair with the travel bottle from my suitcase. Halfway through, I started crying. There was no dramatic collapse. I sat beneath the spray and cried with one hand on the anchored rail, annoyed because tears made my nose run and the tissues were in the other room. When it passed, I dried off and dressed. My phone showed 11 missed messages, 3 from Eric, 2 from June, 1 from my mother, 5 from the family group chat where Mason had posted a photograph of my father's table in his garage with the message, "Got her cleaned up for tomorrow. Took 4 hours and 1 threatened divorce." Eric replied with a laughing face. My mother wrote, "Danny will be so surprised." The picture showed the table beneath Mason's fluorescent shop lights. A plastic centerpiece sat in the middle. 6 folding chairs surrounded it. They were planning to bring it back for the dinner, not return it, stage it. Afterward, it would go back to Mason's garage while I went to Riverbend. I read June's messages first. "I'm sorry." Then, "Eric won't give me the storage code. He says we need to stop escalating you." My mother had left a voicemail. "Sweetheart, Eric says you had a difficult morning. I'm not going to crowd you, but I have your army boxes here. Just like you asked. They're safe. We'll see you tomorrow, okay? I'm making the lemon cake. Call me, just like you asked." I called her back. She answered with, "There you are. Mom, I did not ask you to take my army boxes." A pause. "Well, Eric said." "I know what Eric said. I'm telling you it wasn't true. He said the uniforms and all those reminders were making your therapy harder." He lied. "Danny, that's a strong word. It's a precise word." My mother lowered her voice, though she lived alone. "Are you sure there wasn't a misunderstanding? Did I call you and ask you to take them?" "No, but you've had a lot going on, so you thought I forgot. I thought you trusted your husband to handle things." "So did I." Her breath caught. "Where are you?" she asked. "Somewhere safe. Are you coming to dinner tomorrow?" I didn't know there was a dinner. "Oh." One small syllable, and Eric's story shifted under her feet. "Don't move the boxes," I said. "I won't. Don't give them to anyone." "Of course not, Mom. I said I won't." She sounded offended, then ashamed of being offended. "Can I come see you?" "Not today. I could bring the lemon cake. It isn't made yet." I could make it. The offer almost undid me. "Tomorrow," I said. "I'll call tomorrow." After we hung up, June sent another message. I started the list. It's worse than I thought. A photograph followed. 3 handwritten pages lay across the kitchen island. The final message was from Eric, a voice recording almost 2 minutes long. I played it. His voice was quiet. "Owen called me. I know you told him. I'm not blaming you for that. I should have explained things differently from the beginning. I told people you wanted the house cleared because I thought they'd question me, and I couldn't handle everybody having an opinion while I was trying to make decisions. I know that sounds bad." He stopped. I could hear him breathing. "I know I crossed a line. But please don't tell everyone anything else until we talk. Tomorrow is supposed to be about welcoming you home. We can still fix this before it becomes something the whole family thinks they understand." The message ended. I played one sentence again. "I told people you wanted the house cleared because I thought they'd question me." For the first time, Eric had admitted he knew exactly whose permission was missing. I did not answer the recording. Instead, I typed one sentence. "Cancel the dinner and tell them why." Eric read it at once. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then appeared again. "Can we talk first?" I placed the phone face down. 5 minutes later, the family group chat lit up. Mason: "What time are we delivering the table?" Mom: "I was thinking 6 for dinner unless Danny needs earlier." Owen: "Ask Danny." June: "I agree. Ask Danny." Eric remained silent. I turned the phone off. The furnished bed was lower than the one at rehabilitation, which made getting into it easy and getting out a negotiation. I slept badly and woke with my left foot trapped beneath the sheet. By the time I freed it, dressed, and made instant oatmeal in the small kitchen, I had performed enough labor to qualify breakfast as a mission. My red mug would have improved the oatmeal. That was irrational. The mug did not affect oats. I knew this. I still wanted it. When I turned my phone back on, June had sent a message at 6:11. I have the list, clothes, your mug, and some kitchen stuff. I can bring them if you want. I won't tell Eric where you are. I read it twice. Then I sent her the address. She arrived 40 minutes later in a dented hatchback I had helped her buy 4 years earlier. One headlight was fogged. The bumper still carried the outline of a sticker that said, "Good vibes only," which June had peeled off after I asked whether the car enforced the policy. Through the window, I watched her unload 2 trash bags of clothing, a laundry basket, and my blue Dutch oven. The red mug sat inside the pot. She had wrapped it in my dish towels. I opened the door before she knocked. "I know this looks like I stole your laundry and came to confess," she said. "Did you?" "Some of it." She set down the basket and looked around. Her eyes found the decorative pillows. "Wow. Don't? Live, laugh, love?" The property manager authorized ceremonial burning. I like her already. I moved aside. June carried everything in without trying to take my arm. She placed the bags beside the couch and the Dutch oven on the kitchen counter. Then she handed me 3 legal pad pages. "I started with what I remembered," she said. "There's probably more." Her handwriting slanted uphill as though even her words were trying to leave. The first page listed furniture. The second listed kitchen items and books. The third was labeled personal, underlined twice. I scanned the furniture page. Couch sold. Rug donated because of stain. Green chair sold online. Buyer unknown. Workbench sold to Cal Norton. Bookcases donated. Dining set at Mason's. Dresser, cedar chest, end tables, floor lamp, and 6 plastic bins in storage. "You sold the couch too?" Eric hated that couch. It was his couch before we got married. He hated it slowly. "How much?" $200. He paid $3,000 for it. He says his back never liked it. His back watched football on it for 11 years. June sat on the beige couch and tested the cushion. "This one's terrible." "I know. Too soft." "I know. You sink toward the middle." June. "Right. Sorry." I looked at the dates she had written beside some of the items. The first sale happened 9 days after I entered rehabilitation. You started immediately. Eric started. "And you?" The bookcases were me. "Why?" "I wanted that wall for a desk." The direct answer surprised me. "You planned to put a desk in my living room. I was working downstairs because the Wi-Fi in the bedroom kept dropping." "What work?" "Applications. Freelance things." "Were you paying rent?" "No. Buying groceries." "Sometimes." "Which times?" She rubbed her palms over her jeans. "I knew this wasn't going to be a friendly visit." "You brought an inventory." "I knew it was going to be this." "This what?" "You making every vague thing specific until there's nowhere to hide." I lowered the pages. "Would you prefer I leave you somewhere to hide?" "No." She looked toward the window. The April sky had turned the color of old dishwater. June had always claimed gray days damaged her spiritually. She was the only person I knew who could make weather feel accused. "I lied about the mold," she said, I assumed. "There was mildew around the bathroom vent. The landlord treated it. How long were you out of the apartment?" "I didn't have to be." "Then why are you in my house?" Eric asked. "Why?" "He said he needed help. With me gone." "With everything. That is not an answer." She gave me a tired smile. "There you go. June." He was lonely. The house felt weird. He didn't know what to do with himself after work. At first I came over for dinner, then I stayed late. Then he said it was stupid to drive back to my place. "Were you sleeping with him?" The question made her whole body recoil. "No. Think before you answer. I do not need to think." "No." "Was he inappropriate with you?" "No." "Were you inappropriate with him?" "God, Danny. I came home and found you in our bedroom wearing my robe. I was using the shower because the guest bathroom has terrible water pressure. That does not improve the picture. I didn't sleep in your bed until this week. My skin went cold. Meaning you did sleep in it. Alone. Eric has been sleeping in the guest room since we moved my things upstairs. How considerate. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? June stood and began pacing the narrow space between the couch and television. It was nice being useful, okay? The answer stopped me. She crossed her arms tightly. Eric asked what I thought. About meals, furniture, the apartment. He listened. He needed me to make calls. You've never needed me for anything. I asked you for help with the house photographs. You gave me instructions. I needed specific angles for the therapist. I know that now. You knew it then. I knew the pictures were for Rehab. I didn't understand why you couldn't just trust us to handle it. I trusted you. That's how you had access to my house. You trusted us to follow orders. The sentence landed close enough to truth that I did not dismiss it. June saw that. You make people feel like there's one correct way to love you, she said. Your way. Your schedule. Your labels. And if we don't do it right, you take over. So you decided to prove I shouldn't take over by taking over. She winced. I know how it sounds. How it sounds is not the primary problem. I know. She sat again, this time on the edge of the couch. Eric complained about you, she said. I complained about you. It felt harmless because you weren't there to hear it. How long before harmless became selling furniture? The green chair was his idea. That was not my question. About 3 weeks. The room went quiet. Did you know about Riverbend? Not at first. When did you know? Last week. And you thought I agreed? She looked down at her hands. At first, I said. At first. When did you stop believing him? The picture. The coffee photograph Eric had made her delete. He told me you couldn't see the house because it would interfere with your treatment. I asked why you'd agreed to move things if seeing it would upset you. He said I didn't understand trauma. Neither does he. I know. But you stayed. Yes. You moved into my room. Yes. You stopped answering me. Yes. Every answer came quieter. I am sorry, she said. Not just about the chair. I folded the inventory pages. I'm not ready to forgive you. I didn't ask you to. You came with my mug wrapped carefully in towels. That was because I break things. Despite myself, I laughed. One sound. Small and unwilling. June smiled, then had the sense to let it go. I unpacked the kitchen items while she sat at the little table. The Dutch oven occupied most of the stove. She had brought my good chef's knife, the rooster pitcher, 2 mixing bowls, and the cast iron skillet. You carried this downstairs? I asked. It nearly killed me. It weighs 12 pounds. I have narrow wrists. You have ordinary wrists. They're emotionally narrow. That sounded so much like June that my throat tightened. I set the skillet in the cabinet. Are you going back to the house? I asked. I don't know. You brought your cookware here. Your cookware. You were using it. She glanced at the folded list. Eric told me not to. To bring it. To make the list. To contact you. He said you needed time to settle. He means comply. I think so. You didn't think so yesterday. I'm allowed to learn slowly. You've made a lifestyle of it. That was almost affectionate. It wasn't. Almost. My phone rang. Eric, I let it ring. June's phone began ringing immediately afterward. She looked at the screen. Don't answer on my behalf, I said. I wasn't going to. She answered, Hi. Eric's voice was loud enough that I could hear its shape, but not the words. No, June said. I'm not at the house. Another burst. I don't have to tell you where I am. His response was sharper. June looked at me. No, she didn't manipulate me. I held out my hand. June gave me the phone. I'm here, I said. Eric stopped speaking. Then, you told her where you are, but not me. She offered to return my things. I was going to bring whatever you needed. You still haven't given me the storage code. You shouldn't go there alone. Then send the code and meet me there. You can't lift any of it. I can identify it. Danny, we need to talk about us before you turn this into a recovery operation. It became a recovery operation when you distributed my property." He inhaled slowly. "Did you get my message?" "Yes. I was honest with you. You admitted lying to everyone else and asked me to protect the lie. That's not what I said. You said we could fix it before the family thought they understood. They don't understand. I don't think you do either. What did you tell them?" he asked. "Nothing yet." Relief softened his voice. "Okay, good. Let's keep it that way until we talk." I looked at June. She heard it too. The request was not for privacy. It was for silence. "No," I said. I opened the family group chat and typed, "There will be no welcome home dinner tonight." I did not ask Eric or June to clear the house, sell furniture, distribute my personal belongings, or arrange a separate apartment. Please do not move anything else. I will contact each of you when I'm ready. I pressed send before Eric could speak. His phone chimed through June's phone. So did hers. "What did you do?" he asked. I corrected the inventory. The call ended. For several seconds, neither June nor I moved. Then the family chat began to fill. Mason. "What?" Mom. "Danny, please call me." Owen. "Thank you." Eric. "This is a private marital matter, and that message leaves out important context." June reached for her phone. I expected her to defend herself. Instead, she typed slowly. June. "Danny is telling the truth?" She did not know. The message appeared beneath Eric's. June put the phone face down. "I'm moving out today," she said. I looked around my temporary beige living room. "Where will you go?" She gave me a crooked smile. "My apartment," she said. "Apparently the mildew and I need to work on our marriage." June stood and collected her keys. "You don't have to leave because of me," I said. "I'm leaving because I brought 6 pairs of shoes into your bedroom and somehow convinced myself that counted as caregiving. That isn't all you did." "I know." She picked up the empty laundry basket. "June." She turned. "Don't take anything else from the house unless it belongs to you." Her mouth tightened, but she nodded. "Understood. And photograph the rooms before you go. You think Eric will move more?" "I think I want to know if he does." She nodded again. At the door, she hesitated. "Do you want me to tell Mom anything?" "No." "Mason?" "No." "Eric?" "Especially no." Right. She left. The family group chat continued without me. Mason asked Eric whether the table belonged at his house or mine. My mother posted 3 separate messages insisting there had to be a misunderstanding. Owen responded to the last one. There was. Dad caused it. Eric did not answer. Then Mason called. I considered letting it go to voicemail, but my father had built the table in Mason's workshop. If one object needed clear instructions, it was that one. "Hey," Mason said carefully. "Hey, I'm looking at the table. Is it damaged?" "What?" "No, I cleaned it. Put wax on it. One chair has a loose spindle, but it had that before. It did. I thought we were storing it temporarily." "Who is we?" He sighed. "Eric said you two talked. He said the house needed to be opened up for your walker. I don't use a walker." "Well, I know that now." "You knew it before. I sent you a picture of my cane. I thought the walker might be for bad days. Did anyone ask me?" "No." "Then don't make this about mobility equipment." Mason was quiet. Unlike June, he did not fill silence when silence was hurting him. "I should have called you," he said. "Yes." "Do you want the table back?" "Yes, I can bring it today." "No, leave it where it is until I have somewhere to put it. You always have somewhere to put that table." The words were kind and entirely wrong. "I don't right now." "Oh, cover it. Don't stack anything on it. Don't let Eric pick it up." "Danny, he told me it was partly his. Did my father build it partly for Eric? He built it for your wedding." "Then you understand the question." "I do." A garage door groaned through the phone. "I'm covering it now," Mason said. "Thank you. I'm sorry. I believe you." It was the only forgiveness I could afford that morning. By noon, Eric sent the storage address and code. "Meet me tomorrow at 10. Please don't go alone." I replied that I would be there. He asked whether I wanted him to bring anything from the house. I wrote, A complete inventory. He sent back, "I'm working on it." The phrase irritated me enough that I cleaned the rental kitchen, even though it was already clean. I washed the Dutch oven. I lined up my medications beside the sink, then moved them to a cabinet because the counter made the apartment look temporary. The act exhausted me. I slept for 2 hours and woke to a missed call from Marisol. Her voicemail was brisk. "Patrice says your address changed. I don't need details unless they affect treatment. Your outpatient evaluation is Monday at 9. If the new shower setup is unsafe, call. If it is safe, still call, because apparently paperwork is the national religion." I called and confirmed the shower rail held. "Home okay?" she asked. "No." A brief pause. "Are you physically safe?" "Yes." "Then we'll deal with the leg Monday." That was all. No speech about strength. No request that I explain my marriage while standing beside the bathroom sink. I wrote her appointment on the rental company's magnetic calendar. At 9:50 the next morning, Rochelle pulled into the storage facility. "You want me to stay?" she asked. "I don't know how long I'll be. I can wait 20 minutes and then you decide. You're going to lose fares." "I'm going to eat a breakfast sandwich and judge people's parking." It had rained overnight. Water gathered in shallow potholes between rows of orange storage doors. The air smelled like wet pavement and cut grass. Eric's car was already there. So was Owen's truck. I looked at both, then at the message where Eric had said, "Meet me." Owen got out first. He was 28, tall like his father. With dark hair he kept too short because he claimed longer hair made him look unemployed. He wore work boots and an old college sweatshirt. "I asked to come," he said before I reached them. "Dad didn't recruit me." "I didn't ask you. I know. You could have called. I thought you might say no." "That is not a defense." "No. It's the reason." He looked tired. The skin beneath his eyes was gray. "I carried it out," he said. "I want to help carry some of it back." I studied him. "That doesn't undo anything." "I know. You don't get forgiven by lifting the same dresser twice." "I know. You're saying that a lot." "I've had practice since Thursday." Eric stood near the storage door with his hands in his jacket pockets. He looked as though he had slept worse than Owen. I turned to Rochelle. "Go ahead. You sure?" "I have 2 men here who owe me labor." She looked them over. "That one has apology flowers." Eric glanced at the grocery store bouquet on the hood of his car. "They're not apology flowers," he said. "What kind are they?" Rochelle asked. He opened his mouth. Rochelle nodded. "That's what I thought." She drove away. Eric held out the flowers, yellow tulips. My favorite, though he usually remembered them as daffodils. I didn't know whether the rental allowed plants. "These are cut." "I know." "Then the rental's plant policy is unlikely to apply." Owen looked at the storage door. Eric lowered the bouquet. "Can we not do this in front of him? He's already involved." I apologized to him. "I didn't ask if you apologized." Eric entered the code and rolled up the door. The unit was 10 feet by 15, packed nearly to the ceiling. For one strange second, relief moved through me. My belongings existed. The cedar chest stood against the left wall beneath a blanket. The dresser was on its side, drawers taped shut. Boxes labeled Danny Clothes formed an uneven tower. My floor lamp leaned in a corner. Plastic bins held office materials and photographs. Then I saw how everything had been handled. Trash bags sagged beneath the weight of my winter coats. Books had been dropped into oversized boxes until the bottoms bowed. One framed photograph was wedged face first between a toolbox and a crate of dishes. I pulled it out. The glass had cracked across my father's face. Eric stepped closer. "That was already broken." "No, it wasn't. It might have happened in the truck." "Which means it wasn't already broken. I didn't mean before we moved it. I meant before today. That distinction is almost impressive." Owen took the frame from me carefully. "I packed this box. You put a photograph under a toolbox?" "I didn't see it. You packed without looking." His throat moved. "Yes, I wanted to tell him it was all right. It wasn't." "Set it by my bag," I said. We worked for 40 minutes. I identified 3 boxes of clothes, my teaching materials, 2 bins of photographs, and most of my tools. The workbench tools had been divided badly. Screwdrivers in one crate, drill bits loose in a kitchen box, clamps missing entirely. The blue Le Guin book was not there. Eric kept trying to explain locations. Your mother might have that. June boxed the fiction. Some went to your mother. June said some. Then ask June. I did. Owen climbed down from a small step ladder. Grandma sent me a picture of her shelves last night. The blue book wasn't there. Eric's eyes narrowed. Why were you discussing this with her? Because Danny asked where her things were. I am handling that. No, Owen said. You're responding to it. The resemblance between them sharpened when they were angry. Same jaw, same slight tilt of the head, as if disagreement were a noise coming from the wall. Stay out of this, Eric said. You brought me into it. I asked you to move furniture. You lied about why. I said Danny needed the house cleared. You said she asked. I said she agreed. You said she wanted a fresh start. I believed she did. I closed the box in front of me. Stop. Both men went silent. This is not a hearing, I said. I don't need either of you performing remorse at the other one. Eric looked away first. My left thigh had begun to quiver. I sat on the cedar chest before my knee could buckle. Eric moved toward me, then checked himself. Water? He asked. Yes. He brought a bottle from his car and loosened the cap before handing it over. Owen saw that. So did I. Eric crouched a few feet away. I liked the house empty, he said. It was so unexpected that I stopped drinking. He stared at the concrete floor. The first night after we moved the bookcases, the room felt bigger. I sat there and realized I'd never chosen where anything went. Not the couch, not the table, not the pictures. I moved into the house after we married, and it always felt like yours. You never told me that. I did. When? I complained about the labels. I said the couch was uncomfortable. I asked why we needed a table that could seat 10, and I thought you were complaining about labels, the couch, and the table. You always made each thing practical. The labels saved time. The couch was good quality. Your father built the table. There was no room for me to say I hated how it felt, because then I sounded irrational. You were allowed to be irrational, not in your house. The words hurt because I recognized part of them. Not enough to excuse what he did, enough to complicate where I put my anger. So you waited until I couldn't stop you. Eric rubbed his hands together. I didn't plan it that way, but you noticed it. He said nothing. You realized nobody was there to turn your complaints into a conversation. Yes. And you kept going. Yes. Owen shifted, but I held up a hand. Eric looked at me. I should have told you I felt erased in that house. You erased me to make the point. I know. No, I don't think you do. He stood, walked to the keypad, and wrote the code on the back of a business card. He handed it to me. I changed it yesterday, he said. June had the old code. This one is yours. I won't change it again. It was the first thing he had returned that mattered without taking up any space. Owen loaded my clothes, teaching boxes and photographs into his truck. Eric strapped everything down and gave him the rental address only after I nodded permission. Before we left, Eric said, June moved out. I know. Your room is empty now. My room was empty when I arrived. I meant available. I put the storage card in my notebook. We need help talking, he said. Someone neutral. Counseling? Yes. The word looked painful on him. 1 session, I said. Hope moved into his face again. 1, I repeated. Not a promise to come home. He nodded, but he was still holding the yellow tulips as if I had already accepted them. I took the flowers. Not because I forgave him, not because yellow tulips outweighed a storage unit. They had already been cut, and leaving them on the hood of his car would only turn them into a symbol Eric could suffer beside. I put them in the rooster pitcher at the rental. June would have appreciated that. Owen carried in the boxes while I directed traffic from the doorway. 3 went against the bedroom wall, 2 beside the little table, and the teaching materials beneath the television. Within 15 minutes, the rental looked less like a catalog and more like a shipping mistake. "Your floors are clear," Owen said. "Technically, you could build a pretty decent fort. I'll keep that in mind if diplomacy fails." He placed the cracked photograph on the kitchen counter. My father's face was split by a white line from his hair to his chin. "I can replace the glass," Owen said. "I know how to replace glass. I didn't say you didn't. I have the tools, I know. Somewhere." He accepted that one. "I'd like to fix it," he said. "Not because it fixes everything. What does it fix?" "The frame." I looked at him. Owen shoved his hands into the pockets of his sweatshirt. "I'm trying to be specific. You're learning. Slowly. That seems to be going around." I let him take the photograph. Before leaving, he stood in the open doorway while I leaned against the frame. "Dad hasn't slept," he said. "That isn't information I need." "I know." "Then why tell me?" "Because I'm used to telling you things about him, so you'll tell me what to do." That was honest enough to sting. "What do you want to do?" I asked. "I don't know." "Then wait until you do." He keeps saying he made one bad decision. He made a series of decisions that required moving trucks. I told him that. "You don't need to argue my case. I'm arguing mine." "Good." He nodded. "I'll bring the picture back. Call first." "I will." He did. That small obedience mattered more than I wanted it to. The tulips opened overnight, their petals leaning away from one another in the rooster pitcher. I ate oatmeal at the square table and watched them bend toward the window. At 8:15, Rochelle arrived to take me to outpatient therapy. "You collect apology flowers now?" she asked when she saw them through the door. "They're not apology flowers. That man has infected you with denial." Marisol met me in the rehabilitation gym with a clipboard and no visible sympathy. "Walk to the blue cone," she said. "Good morning to you, too. I saw you wave from the entrance." Greeting requirement satisfied. The blue cone was 20 feet away. I made it 17 before my left foot dragged. Marisol tapped the floor with her pen. Again, I slept badly. Your leg doesn't care. My leg has become extremely selfish. It learned from the rest of you. I started again. By the 4th pass, sweat had gathered beneath my shirt. Marisol changed the height of a practice step, watched me climb it, then lowered it again. "You regressed on stairs," she said. I noticed. "Pain? Some. Fear?" "No." She waited. "Fine," I said. "More than some. Stress burns energy. I'm familiar with stress. You're familiar with overriding it. Different skill." She adjusted the strap on my brace. "Patrice said your husband changed the discharge setup. He designed a different one. Did you ask for my medical opinion?" "No." "Good. I wasn't going to give one about your marriage. I appreciate your restraint. I'm saving it for your gait." At the parallel bars, she made me practice shifting weight onto my left leg without locking the knee. Every instinct told me to move quickly past the unstable point. "Stay there," she said. "It's weak. Yes. It could give. Yes. You have a gift for reassurance. The bars will hold. I'm here. Your job is not to pretend the leg is strong. Your job is to know exactly what it can carry today." I hated the exercise. I understood it. After therapy, I asked Rochelle to take me to the college instead of the rental. Mercer County Community College occupied 3 brick buildings between a grocery warehouse and a 4-lane road. The logistics classroom was on the first floor because I had requested it years before for students who worked warehouse shifts and came to class with injured knees, bad backs, or steel-toed boots that made stairs an act of revenge. My department chair, Beverly Shaw, met me in the hallway. Beverly wore orange glasses and kept pencils in her hair despite never using pencils. She hugged me once, briskly. "You look vertical," she said, "most of the time. I hear that's fashionable." We sat in the empty classroom. My maps still hung on the walls. Somebody had erased the board but left a faint outline of the phrase, "Bottlenecks are decisions." I want to return for the second half of the term, I said. Beverly crossed one leg over the other. How much? 1 evening class, 2 nights a week. That's 3 hours each night. I know how long my classes are. I'm checking whether rehabilitation damaged your arithmetic. It improved my patience. Clearly. She studied me. We can make it hybrid, she said. 1 night here, 1 online. I teach better in person. You also stand the entire time. I can sit, can you? The question had nothing to do with furniture. I'm learning. We'll start hybrid. If it goes well, we adjust. I wanted to argue. My old answer rose immediately. I can handle 2 nights. Marisol's voice replaced it. Know exactly what it can carry today. 1 in person, I said. 1 online. Beverly nodded as if nothing important had happened. Your adults have been asking when the mean lady comes back. I'm not mean. You gave a 58-year-old shipping supervisor homework over Thanksgiving. He plagiarized it from a forklift website. He still speaks of you with fear. Good. For 40 minutes, we reviewed the course schedule. My right hand trembled when I wrote on the board. Beverly pretended not to see until the marker squeaked sideways. Want me to take notes? She asked. Yes. She took the marker. The world did not end. My mother was waiting outside the rental when Rochelle brought me home. Her sedan's trunk stood open. My olive green footlocker filled most of it. A lemon cake sat on the front passenger seat beneath a clear plastic cover. Mom climbed out wearing pressed jeans and a raincoat buttoned to her throat. You said you'd call, I told her. You didn't. It's 3 in the afternoon. I was worried. So you ignored what I asked. Her mouth tightened. I brought your things. I can see that, and cake. I can see that too. Rochelle lowered her window. Want me to stay? My mother looked offended. No, I said, thank you. Rochelle drove away slowly, watching in the mirror. Mom touched the footlocker. I can't lift this. Neither can I. I thought perhaps your landlord had somebody. Her staff handles maintenance, not family history. Mom blinked. Then she laughed despite herself. Lorna found us debating the trunk and arrived with a wheeled dolly. The 3 of us maneuvered the footlocker into the apartment. Mom carried the cake as if it contained a transplant organ. When Lorna left, Mom looked around. It's small, yes, but clean. I wasn't banished to a cave. Don't say banished. What word would you use? I don't know. Separated. From what? She removed her raincoat and folded it over one arm. Eric sounded so sure, she said. He said you 2 had discussed simplifying. He said seeing your army things made you focus on what you couldn't do anymore. Did that sound like me? You haven't been yourself. When did you determine that? On the phone. Which call? All of them. You sounded tired. I was recovering from surgery. You cried once. You mean I was myself, but not the version you prefer. Mom sat on the beige couch and immediately slid toward the middle. This is a terrible couch, she said. I know. She pushed herself upright. I didn't want to bother you, she said. Eric said every conversation set you back, so you took his word over mine. You weren't saying anything. You didn't ask. Her eyes filled, less beautifully than June's. Mom's face crumpled from the center. I liked that he asked me to help, she admitted. You never do. The same confession in a different voice. I asked you to visit me at the hospital where nurses did everything. I wanted my mother. You didn't need me. That isn't the same thing. It feels the same when you're the person standing there. I sat across from her in the only chair. I don't know how to need people in ways they recognize, I said. I know that. But all of you decided the solution was to make me need you more. Mom looked toward the footlocker. I'm sorry. What are you sorry for? Believing him because it was easier than calling you. Taking the boxes. Letting him make your injuries sound like permission. The specificity loosened something in my chest. Thank you, I said. We opened the footlocker together. My dress uniforms were folded inside. Plaques, photographs, letters, a set of boots, and the flag from my retirement ceremony had been packed carefully. Mom had added lavender sachets between the clothes. The blue Le Guin book was not there. Mom saw me checking. What's missing? A book Dad gave me. What book? I described it. I don't have it, I know. I can ask Mason. Not yet. She nodded. We ate lemon cake from paper towels because my plates were still in storage. Mom hated eating without proper dishes. She did it anyway. After she left, Eric sent me an appointment confirmation. Thursday, 4 o'clock, Dr. Helen Ross. Is that okay? He had not scheduled it until asking whether the time worked. A minor courtesy, an ordinary one. I replied yes. An intake form arrived by email. The final question asked what I wanted from counseling. I wrote, to find out whether there is still a marriage here and whether either of us can stop trying to manage the answer. The form rejected my answer because I had exceeded the character limit. Apparently, the future of a 12-year marriage needed to fit inside 500 characters. I shortened it to, I want to know whether we can make decisions together without confusing care with control. The form accepted that. My first online class went less smoothly. 14 adult students appeared in small boxes across my laptop screen. One joined from a warehouse break room. Another had forgotten her camera was on and spent 5 minutes arguing with a parrot before noticing the chat messages. I had planned to teach standing at the rental's little table. 20 minutes in, my leg began to tremble. I sat. Nobody gasped. No one reported the collapse of academic standards. A shipping coordinator named Marcus asked whether a bottleneck was always caused by the slowest operation. No, I said. Sometimes it's caused by the person who refuses to admit the plan has changed. Beverly sent me a private message. Subtle. I ignored her. When class ended, I was exhausted enough to leave the decorative pillows face up. That was how I measured decline now. Eric arrived at Dr. Helen Ross's office before I did. He stood when Rochelle dropped me at the curb, then stopped himself from walking out to help. The restraint looked physically uncomfortable. Helen's office occupied the first floor of a converted house. Her waiting room contained 2 gray chairs, a water dispenser, and a wooden bowl full of smooth stones, with words carved into them. Eric had picked up one that said, "Listen." He put it down when I came in. "Hi," he said. "Hi, you look good." I look upright. That's what Beverly says. I stared at him. She called? No, you've used that line before. I don't think I have. Then apparently you're both unoriginal. He smiled despite himself. Helen opened her office door. She was in her early 60s, with cropped white hair and red boots beneath a navy dress. Her office had 2 chairs angled toward a couch, which told me someone had spent significant money arranging furniture to appear neutral. Eric waited for me to choose a seat, progress, or strategy. I could not tell yet. I chose the chair nearest the door. He took the other. Helen sat on the couch with a yellow pad balanced on one knee. "I read your intake forms," she said. "They describe the same week as if it happened in 2 different countries." Eric looked at me. I tried to be honest. So did I. Helen held up one hand. "You don't need to establish credibility in the first minute. I assume both of you believe your own accounts. We're here to find where belief stopped matching behavior." She asked why we had come. Eric began. "Danny had a serious injury. Everything changed quickly." "Not quickly," I said. "I was in rehabilitation 11 weeks. He closed his eyes briefly. Helen said, "Let him finish. Then you can correct the calendar." I folded my hands. Eric continued. "I was scared. She couldn't walk at first. She was in pain and having panic episodes, and whenever I tried to help, somebody told me I was doing it wrong." "Who?" "Therapists, nurses, Danny." "Were you doing it wrong?" "Sometimes." "Did that feel like criticism or information?" "Both." He rubbed his thumb over his wedding ring. "I went home every Sunday night to this house she had run for years. Her systems were everywhere, labels, lists, schedules. I couldn't put a bowl away without hearing her voice telling me it went somewhere else." "Was Danny calling to tell you where bowls went?" Helen asked. "No." "So whose voice was it?" Eric looked annoyed. "Mine, I guess." I had not expected that answer. He leaned forward. "I know what I did sounds terrible. I know selling things without asking was wrong, but it didn't start as some plan to erase her. I moved 2 bookcases because June wanted a desk. The room opened up. I could breathe. Helen looked at me. What happens when you hear that? I wonder why he needed my spinal injury before he could move a bookcase. Eric's mouth tightened. I'd complained about the house for years. You made jokes. Because when I was serious, you explained why I was wrong. Give me an example. The dining table. My father built it, see? Helen raised a finger. Danny, he gave an example. You gave a defense. I leaned back. Eric went on. I said it was too big. She said we needed it for family dinners. I said the couch hurt my back. She said it was expensive and would last 20 years. I loaded the dishwasher and she rearranged it. You put knives blade up. Not every time. Enough times to make tetanus a menu item. Helen's mouth twitched. Eric said, nothing was ever just preference. Her way always had a practical justification, which made my way irresponsible. I looked at the red toes of Helen's boots. Is that true? She asked me. Sometimes? How often? I don't know. Eric gave a short laugh. She knows the number of protein bars in a pantry, but not how often, she corrected me. Did my systems benefit you? Yes. Did you ask me to create the bill schedule after you missed 2 payments? Yes. Did you call me from Germany because you couldn't find Owen's insurance card? Yes. Did you tell your brother I was a genius when I reorganized the garage? Yes. Then you liked my competence until it made you feel incompetent. Eric's face reddened. That is exactly how you do it. How? You build a case. You emptied a house. There's going to be a case. Helen let the silence sit between us. Finally, she said, both things can be true. Eric benefited from Danny's systems and resented them. Danny expressed love through competence and made disagreement difficult. Neither fact explains making decisions about her residence without her. Thank you, I said. Helen turned to me. That wasn't an acquittal. I know. Your tone suggests you'd like it entered into evidence. I'll work on my tone. Eric laughed once bitterly. She's been working on that tone since we met. You married the tone. I did. The way he said it held affection. That hurt more than anger. Helen asked him when Riverbend entered the plan. About a month ago, he said. A man at work moved his mother there after hip surgery. Your wife is 46, Helen said. 45, I corrected. She nodded. Thank you for proving Eric's point while correcting mine. Eric looked down to hide a smile. I did not smile. He said, it wasn't assisted living. They had accessible units. I thought Danny could stay there while we figured things out. What things? Helen asked. How much help she needed, whether the house could work, whether we could. I looked at him. Whether we could? He turned toward me. Every conversation was about discharge equipment, therapy, pills, transportation. You weren't sleeping. You snapped at me. I was tired before you came home, and I hated myself for it. So you planned to put the exhausting part of me 12 minutes away. I planned to visit every day. Visit. I chose the wrong word. No. You chose the honest word. Helen asked, what did you imagine evenings would look like? Eric rubbed his palms on his pants. I'd go there after work. We'd eat. I'd stay if she needed me. And if I didn't? I asked. I'd come home. Home. He looked at the floor. There it was. He had imagined 2 homes, but only one belonged to him. I thought it would be temporary, he said. How long? Helen asked. I didn't set a date. What needed to happen before it ended? Danny needed to be more independent. I felt something cold move through me. You placed independence between me and my own bedroom. That's not how I thought about it. It's how you arranged it. Helen let another silence grow. Then she asked Eric a simpler question. Did you believe Danny had agreed to this? He answered too quickly. I believed she would. That wasn't the question. He looked at me. No, he said. The word emptied the room. No misunderstanding. No poor communication. No therapist's suggestion that grew out of proportion. He knew. I had known he knew. but hearing him say it in a room where nobody rushed to soften it changed the weight. Eric's eyes filled. I kept telling myself once you saw the apartment, you'd understand. It was safe. It was clean. It had everything. Except my consent. Yes. And my husband. His face folded. Helen asked whether I wanted to stop. No. My voice shook, but I did not. What hurt most? She asked. Not the furniture. Not even Riverbend. Eric looked up. You told everyone I wanted it, I said. You used my injury to make my silence sound like permission. You made June, Owen, my mother, and Mason participants because then I would have to fight the whole family to come back. I didn't plan that. You relied on it. He covered his mouth with one hand. I'm sorry, he said through his fingers. For what? For lying to them. For clearing the house. For deciding what you could handle. For telling myself it was care because control sounded ugly. It was the first apology that did not contain the phrase, trying to help. Helen asked, what would repair look like? I had thought about that while staring at the word love on a pillow. Cancel Riverbend. I did, Eric said. Friday morning. We lost the deposit. Make a complete inventory. Restore what can be restored, but don't move anything without asking. Tell the family exactly what you just said. Not that you were stressed. Not that we misunderstood each other. He nodded. June stays out of the house. She's out. You don't make decisions about my recovery unless I ask. The house gets assessed for accessibility with me present? Yes. And we keep coming here. Hope moved into his face. That does not mean I'm coming home, I said. I know. It does not mean I've forgiven you. I know. It means I'm willing to find out whether you can do those things without expecting a reward. His hope steadied into something less attractive and more useful. I can try, he said. Helen glanced at the clock. At the door, Eric asked if I wanted dinner. No? A ride? Rochelle is coming. He nodded. Then he said, I'm sorry I questioned your loyalty. I gripped the handle of my cane. That was the cruelest thing you said. I know. Outside, the light had begun to fade. Eric stood beside me until Rochelle's cab appeared. Do you still love me? He asked. Yes, I said. His breath left him. But love is why this hurts, I said. It isn't why I should go back. Rochelle pulled to the curb. I got in without looking behind me. By the time the tulips dropped their first petals, Eric had sent the family a message. I made decisions about the house and Danny's belongings without her agreement. I told several of you that she wanted those changes. That was not true. I believed I knew what would be best for her, and I used her recovery to avoid being questioned. Please return nothing and move nothing until Danny asks. It was not poetry. It was accurate. Mason responded first. Table stays covered until she gives the word. My mother wrote, Thank you for telling us. Owen did not respond at all. June sent me a separate message. He left out my part. I answered, You already told them your part. She replied with a thumbs up, then 3 minutes later added, I hate when you're reasonable. It feels hostile. Owen returned the repaired photograph that evening. The new glass caught the light differently, but my father's face was whole again. I kept the broken piece, Owen said. Why? I didn't know if you'd want it. I don't collect broken glass. Right? Stupid question. It wasn't stupid, just slightly dangerous. He smiled. The next day, Eric emailed the completed inventory. 38 items or groups had been removed from the house. 11 were still in storage. 9 were with relatives. 8 had been donated. 6 had been sold. 4 were listed as location uncertain. He had added a column titled Recovery Status. The green chair said, Buyer contacted through Marketplace. No response. The bookcases. Donation center unable to confirm whether sold. The blue Le Guin, not located. Checking boxes. My stomach tightened over the book in a way it had not tightened over the couch. My father had written inside the cover, To Danny, who knows strange worlds are still worth mapping. I could remember every word. That did not make the book replaceable. Eric called after I opened the file. "I found the person who bought the chair," he said. "You wrote no response." He answered after I sent it. He still has it. Okay. I offered him $300. You sold it for $75. I know. What did he say? He said no. I sat at the rental table. My right hand was steady. My left leg was not. Then leave him alone. I could offer more. He bought a chair, honestly. He doesn't owe us your opportunity to reverse the sale. He might take $5. No. I want to make it right. You can't make everything right by putting it back. What am I supposed to do? Know that some things are gone. The silence on his end felt frustrated rather than reflective. "I found a similar chair," he said. "Same manufacturer, newer model. I don't want it. You haven't seen it. You keep using that sentence." He heard himself then. "Right," he said. "Okay." He did not buy the chair. That counted. The home assessment happened the following Tuesday. This time, Eric sent me 3 possible appointments and waited for me to choose. An occupational therapist named Carla met us at the house with a tape measure, a level, and the disposition of a woman who had seen too many decorative handrails. Eric stood in the foyer as though he were hosting an inspection. The house was still half empty. June's suitcases were gone from the bedroom. My bathrobe was gone because it was at the rental. The wedding photograph remained on the mantel. Someone had swept beneath the table's pale rectangle. Carla measured the hallway, bathroom doors, and height of the bed. She watched me climb 3 stairs, then stopped me. "You have a full flight," she said. "I don't need a demonstration of all 13. I can do all 13. I believe you. I've been practicing. I still only need 3. Eric stayed quiet. A month earlier, he would have told Carla I was stubborn. Instead, he wrote down the measurements she called out. The downstairs den could become a bedroom. The adjacent laundry room shared plumbing with the kitchen, which made a small bathroom possible, but not quickly and not cheaply. A temporary solution would require a bed in the den and careful planning around the existing half-bath. Carla asked me what I wanted. Access to the whole house. Eventually or immediately? Eventually. What do you need immediately? I looked toward the stairs. The answer used to be everything. A safe place to sleep. A shower I can use. Clear paths. Eric's pen stopped. Carla asked, "Do you plan to live here during modifications?" "I don't know." She nodded and wrote that down without looking at Eric. In the kitchen, he had returned the good knives, dishes, and most of the cookware. He had asked before doing it. The labels remained gone. "Do you want new labels?" he asked after Carla left. "No." Surprise flickered across his face. "I can find the same kind." I said no. "Okay." I opened the pantry. Boxes and cans occupied shelves without categories. The protein bars sat beside flour. Peanut butter lived near canned tomatoes. It irritated me. I closed the door. "Does that mean you don't care where things go?" Eric asked. "It means I'm deciding not to correct it." "That sounds like you care a lot." "I do." He smiled faintly. "Thank you for your sacrifice. Don't push it." He made sandwiches. We ate standing at the island because only the stools remained. Eric cut mine diagonally. "You could stay tonight," he said. "No." I cleaned the bathroom. "That is not the barrier. The guest room's available. Also not the barrier. I miss you. I miss you too." His eyes lifted. "I still don't trust you," I said. The hope left more slowly than it used to. "I know." Before I left, he took me to the living room. A roll of blue painter's tape marked the dimensions of a chair on the floor where the green one had been. "What is that?" "The model I found. I wanted you to see the size without buying it." I studied the rectangle. It was slightly wider than my old chair and high enough to stand from safely. I said I didn't want it. "I know, I'm not ordering it." "Then why is there tape?" "Because I thought you might change your mind, and you wanted the room ready for the decision you expect." He looked at the blue outline, then at me. "I didn't think of it that way. That is the problem we keep finding." He bent and pulled up the tape. Part of me wanted to stop him. The chair might have worked. It might have been comfortable. But accepting it then would have taught him that a delayed yes was always hiding inside my no. At counseling, Helen asked whether I had ever used competence to keep people at a safe distance. Yes, I said. Eric looked surprised. Helen asked why. People can't abandon a job you finish before they arrive. The answer came from somewhere I had not prepared. Eric leaned back. I told them about deployment mornings when I packed my bags before dawn so nobody would watch me check the same zipper 10 times. About coming home and reorganizing the kitchen, because the kitchen was easier than asking whether the marriage had changed while I was gone. About believing that if I kept every system running, nobody could accuse my service of costing them too much. Eric rubbed his wedding ring. I did accuse you, he said. Not directly. I made jokes. Sergeant spreadsheet. Supply depot. I laughed. You also reorganized the refrigerator after every trip. You put raw chicken above fruit. I did it once. Once is how salmonella works. Helen sighed. I sense this example has been fully explored. Eric laughed, and I did too. It felt dangerous. Later, he talked about being praised for supporting my service. People thanked him at retirement dinners. They called him patient when I missed holidays, adaptable when orders changed, strong when my pain worsened. I liked the praise, he said. Then I hated needing it. Why? Helen asked. Because if I admitted I resented any of it, I became the selfish spouse who couldn't handle being married to a soldier. So you resented me privately, I said. Yes. And when I got hurt? Everyone praised me again. His face twisted. At the hospital, people kept saying you were lucky to have me. I felt useful. At rehab, they didn't need me. You were learning without me. I went home and made myself necessary there. The honesty was ugly. It was also the first thing that explained why June's presence had mattered. She had needed him to need her. He had needed someone to confirm he was useful. Together, they turned my absence into a room where both of them felt important. Helen asked what rebuilding trust would require. Repetition, I said. Small decisions made correctly when no one applauds. Eric nodded. He had begun handling the house alone. June no longer bought groceries or organized dinners. The first week, he forgot trash day and left a load of wet laundry in the washer, long enough to make every towel smell like a pond. He told me these things in counseling without asking me how to fix them. That counted too. My in-person class began the following week. I taught seated for the first 40 minutes, stood for 20, then sat again before my leg forced the issue. Marcus, the shipping coordinator, moved a box out of the aisle without being asked. At the end, a woman named Sheila stayed behind. I liked what you said about plans changing, she told me. My company keeps treating every delay like disobedience. Companies are people with worse listening skills. She wrote that down. Returning to the rental that night, I found a message from Mason asking again about the table. I told him to keep it covered. Eric sent his own message a few minutes later. Would you come to the house Saturday at 6? Just you and me. I want you to see what I've done. No pressure to stay. I read it twice. Then I answered, just us? He replied, I promise the evening is about you and coming home. It was not exactly an answer. I should have asked again. Instead, I wrote, 6 o'clock. Owen called at 5:28. I was standing in the rental bathroom trying to decide whether the gray suit made me look prepared for a funeral. My other choices were rehabilitation clothes or the purple blouse June once said made me look like a disappointed bank manager. Are you on your way? He asked. Not yet. Okay. Don't leave. I set down my mascara. What happened? Dad invited everybody. Everybody who? Grandma, Uncle Mason, June, me. He called it a homecoming dinner. I looked at Eric's message again. I promise the evening is about you and coming home. When did you find out? 20 minutes ago. I came over because Dad asked me to help carry something. The table. Yes. He knows I told Mason not to move it. Mason thought you changed your mind. Of course he did. I asked Dad if you knew. He said you agreed to come at 6. That was not the question. I know. That's why I'm calling. In the mirror, my face looked tired rather than surprised. What else? There's a chair? What chair? It's green. I closed my eyes. He bought the replacement, I guess. I told him no. I can get everybody out before you come. No. Danny, you called so I could choose. I'm choosing to go. Why? Because if I don't, he'll explain my absence. Owen was quiet. That isn't why I warned you, he said. I know. I wasn't trying to make you show up. I know that, too. Do you want me to stay? Yes, I will. He did not say he would protect me, confront Eric, or fix anything. He simply gave me the information and accepted my answer. That counted. I wore the purple blouse. Rochelle noticed the cars before I did. They lined both sides of the street, familiar shapes beneath the maple trees. This looks like an ambush with casserole, she said. It is. Want me to keep driving? No. Want me to come inside? Definitely no. She parked at the curb and looked back at me. I'm working until 11. I won't be long. That's what people say before family dinners and emergency room visits. I got out. The front door opened before I reached the walk. Eric stood there in a navy sweater I had bought him for Christmas. He smiled too widely. You came. I said I would. His smile shifted when he saw my face. Owen told you? Yes. I wanted it to be a surprise. It was. He stepped aside. The dining table had returned to its pale rectangle on the hardwood. Mason had polished it until the oak glowed. 3 original chairs sat on one side. Folding chairs filled the other spaces. The loose spindle had been repaired. My photographs hung along the hallway again, but not in their old order. My promotion picture was beside Owen's graduation. The wedding photograph had moved from the mantel to the center of the living room wall. A new green chair occupied the space by the window. Blue painter's tape clung to one back leg. Eric had purchased it so recently, he had not removed all the packaging. My mother stood in the kitchen holding a tray of deviled eggs. Mason hovered near the table. June leaned against the pantry door with both arms folded. Owen stood near the stairs, watching me rather than Eric. Nobody shouted surprise. That showed progress. Mom recovered first. You look beautiful, she said. I look like a disappointed bank manager. June covered her mouth. My mother frowned. What? Nothing, June said. Eric touched my elbow lightly. Can I show you what we did? Who is we? He glanced around. All of us. We wanted to put things back. I asked that nothing be moved without my permission. I know, but Mason needed his garage. Mason's head came up. I never said that. Eric's hand left my elbow. I meant eventually. You said Danny asked for the table, Mason said. I said she wanted it back. She does, Mom said quickly. Don't we all agree the table belongs here? The question carried the old family habit of converting conflict into a vote. I said it should stay covered at Mason's until I had somewhere to put it, I said. Mom looked around the room. But this is somewhere. Not currently for me. Eric's face tightened. Can we sit down? He asked. The new chair waited near the window like a witness who had been coached. No. I thought you'd want to try it. I told you not to buy it. It's the exact height Carla recommended. That is not why I said no. You said you didn't want the old chair replaced. I understood that. This isn't the old chair. It's safer. June said, Eric. He looked at her. What? Stop selling the chair. I'm not selling anything. You know what I mean. His frustration sharpened. You wanted her things returned too. I wanted her asked. You're the one who helped remove them. I know. That's why I'm not helping you do the same thing backward. The room changed. For the first time, June was not trying to stand beside whoever seemed most certain. Eric took a breath and lowered his voice. I made dinner. On the table were serving dishes from our kitchen. Roast chicken, potatoes, green beans, the deviled eggs, and my mother's lemon cake. Eric's cinnamon eggs were the first meal he ever made me. But roast chicken was the first meal he learned to cook properly after we married. He had worked hard. That was visible everywhere. "I wanted you to see that home could still be home," he said. "After 3 weeks. It's been longer than 3 weeks for me." My mother placed the egg tray on the table. "Maybe we should eat before everything gets cold." Food had ended Mercer arguments for decades. We could say unforgivable things over appetizers, then pass potatoes as if starch were a treaty. I sat at my father's table, not in the green chair, on one of the folding chairs with my cane hooked beside me. Eric had placed me at the head. He sat at the other end. Dinner began with the sound of forks against plates. Mason complimented the chicken. Mom asked Owen about work. June said the green beans needed salt, and Eric told her the salt was in the drawer beside the sink. Nobody asked me whether I was coming home. That question occupied the empty center of every conversation. Halfway through the meal, Eric stood. Before dessert, he said, "I want to say something." Owen stopped eating. June leaned back. Eric looked at me, then at everyone else. These past few months have been hard on all of us, especially Danny. We made mistakes because we were scared and wanted what was best for her. I set down my fork. Eric continued, "I take responsibility for not communicating better. I made decisions too fast. June helped because I asked her to, and the rest of you acted on what I told you. Nobody meant to hurt Danny." My mother nodded. Mason stared at his plate. Eric's eyes shone. But families get through hard things by remembering they're on the same side. This house has always been where we come together. I wanted tonight to show Danny that nothing she went through can take that away from her. He lifted his glass. To coming home. Nobody else lifted theirs. I looked at him. "Who is we?" His glass remained in the air. "What? You said we made mistakes because we were scared. Who is we? I mean all of us." "I was in rehabilitation. Owen carried furniture because you lied to him. Mason took the table because you lied to him. My mother took my military things because you lied to her. June helped you clear the house, but she has already named what she did." June looked at me, startled. "You have not named what you did," I said. "You just spread it across the table." Eric lowered the glass. "I sent the message you asked me to send." "You did." I made the inventory. "Yes, I canceled Riverbend. I arranged the assessment. I brought things back, after asking me not to. I thought you'd be happy. You expected gratitude to turn my no into a misunderstanding." His face flushed. "I am trying, Danny. I know." "Then why does every attempt become another charge against me? Because you keep doing the right action for the wrong purpose. What does that even mean? You're not listening when nobody applauds. I have listened for weeks. Weeks, I said. How long is enough?" The question exposed him. Not how long do you need? How long is enough? He had followed conditions like a checklist and reached the end expecting delivery. My return. His reward. Mom whispered, "Eric, sit down." He did not. "I admitted I was wrong," he said. "I have done everything she asked, and the answer is still no. I didn't ask for this dinner. It's dinner, not a crime. I didn't ask for the table to be moved. Your table belongs in your house. I didn't ask for the chair. Because you refuse anything I choose. No, because I needed to know my no could survive your good intentions." The room fell silent. Eric looked at Helen's lessons as if they were tools I had stolen from him. "You keep moving the goalposts," he said. "I told you trust required small decisions made correctly without an audience. You invited an audience. I invited your family. To watch you be a good husband." His face changed. There it was, the wound under everything. "You think I'm a bad husband," he said. "I think you need me to prove you aren't one. Is that so terrible?" "Yes, when the proof is me coming back before I'm ready." Mason pushed his chair away from the table. "I'm sorry," he said to me. "I should have called. You did after the first time. I should have called today." "Yes." He nodded. Mom's eyes filled. "I thought this meant things were better." "Eric told you that?" He said counseling was going well. It was. Eric stared at me as if I had betrayed him with the past tense. June spoke quietly. He told me Danny agreed to a family dinner. Eric turned on her. She agreed to come. You knew what she thought she was agreeing to. You don't get to lecture me after what you did. No, June said. I get to recognize it. Owen put down his napkin. Dad, she asked if it was just you two. You showed her my message? She read it to me after I called. Eric looked at me. I promised the evening was about you. That is not the same as promising we'd be alone. It wasn't a lie. It was designed to make me assume something you didn't want to say. His mouth opened, then closed. He knew. That was the worst part. Again, he knew. I stood. My left knee trembled. Owen shifted forward, then waited. I steadied myself against the table my father built. Eric came around his chair. Please don't leave like this. How should I leave? Talk to me. We have been talking. Not in front of everybody. You brought everybody. He stopped. I took my cane. On the porch, he caught up but did not touch me. Were you ever going to come home? He asked. Yes. The answer broke something in his face. I was considering it, I said. Not tonight, not next week, but I could imagine it. Then don't throw that away over one dinner. It isn't the dinner. What is it? You did it again. He looked back through the window at the restored table, the family, the food going cold. For one moment, I thought he understood. Then he said, I can't spend the rest of my life on trial. It has been 3 weeks, Eric. Rochelle's headlights appeared at the corner. He rubbed both hands over his face. What do you want from me? I wanted you to care whether I chose you, not just whether I came back. The cab stopped. Eric stood on the porch behind me as I walked away from the house for the second time. At the rental, I removed my wedding ring. I did not throw it, hide it, or mail it back. I placed it beside my notebook and wrote one sentence beneath the date. He returned the room, but not my place in it. Eric called the next morning. I let it go to voicemail. His message lasted 17 seconds. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't cover it. Tell me if you want me at counseling Thursday. I listened twice. Then I wrote, one final session, not to negotiate my decision. He replied, what decision? I did not answer by text. Helen noticed my missing ring before Eric did. He sat in the same chair as before, holding the smooth stone that said, listen. When he finally looked at my hand, he put the stone down. No, he said. I'm asking for a separation. Because of Saturday. Because Saturday showed me that your changes were transactions. I did everything you asked. You keep saying that as if I failed to dispense the correct prize. I'm saying people are allowed to make mistakes while learning. Yes. Then why am I not? You are. I am also allowed to learn from them. He looked at Helen. Do you understand this? Helen did not pick up the invitation to overrule me. I understand that you want the work you did to guarantee an outcome, she said. What is the point of work if it changes nothing? It changed things, I said. I trusted you enough to consider returning. Then you made another decision for me because you didn't like how long mine was taking. It was dinner. It was the table, the chair, the family, the promise that avoided my question. It was you telling everyone we were coming through a hard time together when you wanted witnesses to me coming home. His eyes filled. I wanted one good night. So did I. Do you still love me? Yes. Then how can you do this? The question was sincere. Eric still believed love was the final instruction after every other instruction failed. Because I love you, I said, and I've spent years translating your fear into something easier to forgive. If I do it again, neither of us changes. He covered his face. For several minutes, the only sound was the small clock on Helen's shelf. Then he asked, Is there anything I can say? No. Anything I can do? Respect the answer. He lowered his hands. The grief in his face almost moved me out of my chair. I gripped the cane instead. All right, he whispered. It was the first no he accepted without searching for the yes hidden behind it. We spent the rest of the session discussing practical boundaries, calls only about the house, belongings, or appointments, no family messages on each other's behalf, no surprise visits. Eric would remain in the house temporarily. I would stay at the rental while we worked out what came next. At the door, he handed me the listen stone. "That belongs to the therapist," I said. Helen held out her hand. Eric gave it back. 2 weeks later, I returned to the house to decide what I wanted. Without the dinner, the table looked stranded in the dining room. Folding chairs leaned against one wall. The new green chair still sat by the window, its blue tape removed. Eric had not returned the labels to the pantry. He also had not learned where anything was. Canned tomatoes sat beside coffee filters. Flour occupied the shelf with cleaning cloths. I closed the door without correcting it. He followed me from room to room with the inventory. "The dresser can go whenever you have a place," he said. I found one. His pen stopped. "A permanent place?" "A bungalow near the college. I'm renting it first. Is it accessible?" "1 floor. 2 steps at the front, none through the side door. The bathroom needs a rail. I could install it." "No." He nodded and wrote something that did not need writing. We marked the things I wanted: the dining table and chairs, cedar chest, photographs, books, tools, cookware, my father's floor lamp. I left Eric the bedroom set, television, whiskey cabinet, and the couch he had bought after selling the old one. "You can take the new chair," he said. "I never sat in it. You could try it now." I looked at him. "Sorry," he said. "Habit." In the bedroom, my side of the closet remained empty. Eric stood behind me. "June won't come over," he said. "That is between you and June. Owen barely speaks to me." "That is between you and Owen. Your mother looks at me like I stole a church. Mom has always been theatrical." He almost smiled. "I'm not asking you to fix them," he said. "You are telling me because you want me to feel the cost. I want you to know there was a cost." I knew there would be. He sat on the edge of the bed. The house had become even emptier since June left. No laundry basket in the hall. No coffee mug beside the sink. No one turning loneliness into a reason to rearrange my life. "I can't run this place the way you did," he said. "You don't have to. It's too much house for one person." "Yes." "You could still come back." The request held no speech this time, no plan, no audience. Just the man I had loved asking me to restore the life he dismantled. I sat in the chair where my dresser used to be. "The emptiness isn't what broke us, Eric. I know. You made my absence the plan." He looked around the room. "Yes," he said. "No defense." That made leaving sadder, but not harder. Our marriage ended quietly. There was paperwork, a final round of decisions, and one argument over a set of holiday dishes neither of us actually wanted. Eric kept the house until it sold. He moved into an apartment where every piece of furniture was one he chose. I hope that mattered to him. I did not ask. The Blue Lagoon book never turned up. The donation center had no record detailed enough to trace it, and Eric's messages to online buyers led nowhere. Losing it hurt long after I stopped searching. Some things were gone. Knowing that was different from accepting that they had not mattered. The bungalow had pale yellow siding, a crooked porch light, and a kitchen too narrow for 2 people to open opposite cabinets at the same time. The dining room was technically a breakfast area, which meant my father's table occupied nearly all of it. Mason brought it over with Owen and 2 furniture straps. "This is not going to fit," Mason announced from the sidewalk. "It will fit." "You measured?" "Twice." "That means yes," Owen told him. Getting it through the side door required removing the legs, turning the top vertically, and using language my mother claimed she could hear from her car. The oak had scratches from Mason's garage and a deep mark along one corner where a strap had slipped. "I can sand that out," Mason said. "No, it'll take 10 minutes. I want it left." He ran his thumb across the scar. "Your dad would have fixed it. My dad would have argued with me for an hour and then left it." Mason smiled. "That sounds right." We attached the legs and set the table beneath the window. It overwhelmed the room. I loved it. Owen returned the next day to install the bathroom rail. He waited outside until I was dressed, tested the wall anchors twice, and asked before moving my towels. The question mattered. June helped unpack the kitchen. "Where do mixing bowls go?" she asked. "Wherever they fit." She stared at me. "Are you having a stroke?" Cabinet beside the stove. There she is. I did not label the cabinet. For 3 days, I opened the wrong door whenever I wanted a bowl. On the 4th, I made a label and placed it inside the door where only I would see it. Discipline did not require an audience either. My mother brought curtains and the lemon cake stand. Beverly gave me a second-hand desk for the small spare room, though she made me sign a note promising not to answer student emails after 10 at night. Lorna took back the rental keys and hugged me so hard the decorative pillows would have disapproved. Physical therapy continued. My legs strengthened unevenly. Some mornings I walked through the bungalow without the cane. On others, fastening the brace remained the first difficult job of the day. My hand still trembled when I was exhausted. I stopped treating every bad day as a vote on my future. Teaching helped. Sitting helped. Asking Marcus to carry a case of textbooks helped. None of it made me less qualified to tell a room full of warehouse supervisors that plans failed when people confused authority with information. The first Sunday dinner in the bungalow happened with 6 mismatched chairs. Mom arrived early and tried to reorganize the serving dishes. June moved them back just to irritate her. Mason brought rolls. Beverly brought wine and said any event involving my family required emergency supplies. Owen came last, carrying the repaired photograph of my father. "I thought he should be near the table," he said. We hung it on the wall above the old oak scar. There was no salute, no speech, no perfect restoration. Eric was not there. The missing book was still missing. The green chair by the living room window was one I chose after sitting in 14 different models, while a salesman slowly lost the will to live. Dinner was roast chicken, potatoes, green beans, and lemon cake. My father's table fit so tightly that Mason had to stand when Mom wanted to pass behind him. June complained the bowls were too heavy. I told her narrow wrists were not a recognized disability. When I lifted the green beans, my right hand trembled. The serving bowl tilted. Owen reached toward it, then stopped. He looked at me and waited. I nodded. He steadied the bowl while I adjusted my grip. Neither of us apologized. Neither of us pretended I had not needed the help. Then he let go, and I passed it on.